Bolt your windows. Lock your doors. Check your closets. Look under your bed. And then prepare yourself. For it's another episode of Dark Night of the Podcast. Whoa!
Hello, Dark Night of the Podcast, friends and family and cohorts. It's so good to be with you. We've got a brand new episode, and this is our first time recording a full-length feature episode since Troy and I were at the Houston Horror Film Festival a few weeks ago. And I think, need to take a moment to acknowledge what an amazing experience we had, getting to be amongst so many celebrities that we have seen in so many films and getting to spend some time with them and actually host some panels involving some of them. I think it was one of the coolest experiences I've had all year. Troy, what do you think on that?
Well, I'm always going to speak highly of the Houston Horror Film Festival, right? It's my baby.
Of
It's my baby.
course.
So yeah, no, it went off spectacularly. We had a great time. This is kind of our fourth year going in, and I don't know, this year the vibe was different. It was I felt a lot more relaxed. I didn't feel stressed, even though, we showed, I was in the screening room with filmmakers and we had more filmmakers in attendance than ever before. I just felt a whole sense of, I don't know, calmness the whole weekend, being among our people. And yeah, hosting those panels was a blast. And just the whole experience was a blast. It's the one time a year that we really get to meet people that we interact with on social media on a regular basis, people that listen to the podcast. So yeah, I can't say enough about the event. And we dropped you a few little goodies to tide you over until we recorded this episode. We hopefully you checked those out. We dropped you the Scream Queen panel we did and the 35th anniversary Pet Cemetery reunion. So we've been trying to give you some little tidbits, some little jerky, if you will.
Some sweet meats, some treats for our listeners. And yeah, I will say, I love those panels. I think one thing that Troy, you and I really both enjoy is the process of getting to sit down and interview some of these recognizable faces and names, from the genre that we love so much. And so check out, listeners, if you haven't had a chance to check out those panels, give them a listen, because honestly, I think they're really insightful and they're really just fun. I had such a great time doing it. And yes, I love that you acknowledge how many of our listeners we get to meet and interact with, or, fellow podcasters whom we have had on as guests before, or maybe been guests on their show. Getting to reconnect with all of them, in this kind of environment, which was so chill and so laid back. You're absolutely right. I kept hearing the term come up, it feels like a family. And I will say, I think for Houston Horror Film Festival this year, it did feel like it really gelled. It felt so calm. And yeah, people there are just there to spread the love. It was one of the most positive, laid back convention experiences I ever had. So kudos to you, Troy, and to the awesome team behind it. I think this was your best one yet.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. I would agree with you. And hopefully more people that haven't been able to check out the Houston Horror Film Festival, put it on their calendars, when we announce the dates for 2025, because I really do think, even if you've attended other fests, that we're really building something special. So yeah. Who wasn't there though, Roger?
Who?
Fucking
Ida?
Ida.
God damn it. I was thinking it was maybe because it was so busy she wasn't able to book a motel. No vacancy.
Hotel, motel. No, she was hungry. That's what it is. She was hungry.
Me too. And after seeing all those meats, Troy, I'm pretty fucking hungry too. I don't care what's in them. God, those look good.
Okay, oh my God. Well, God, Roger. I want to get into this review because you just told me something before we started recording that I actually did not know. You disclosed, Roger, that you have never seen this film. And by this film, I am talking about 1980s Motel Hell. You have never seen Motel Hell. Being as big of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan as you are, you've never seen Motel Hell.
I've never seen Motel Hell. That is correct. But I have, like the visual, especially like the finale sequence. There's some really striking visuals there that I think are very recognizable. And so I definitely am very aware of what happens in this film, the whole thing with the garden. I knew what I was going into. I guess what I didn't know what I was going into was like the sense of humor the film had. Like this is I would say like this is cusping right on the border of being a horror comedy. It's not quite a horror comedy, but it's a horror movie with quite a sense of humor. And for the most part, like it works. Do I have gripes? Absolutely. Do I think the focal female lead, I guess, is one of the blandest individuals I've ever seen on camera? Yes, no fault of her own. The actress is competent, but like this script really gives this poor woman absolutely nothing to do but make horrible choices that make no sense. So it's hard to like her. But overall, overall, I thought there was quite a charming well, I mean, yeah, quite a charm. Like, there's quite a charm to this film. There's something about it that really kind of pulls you in as a viewer. And I do think a lot of that is like the chemistry between the two focal characters, these siblings that you get to know. They are the standout aspect of this movie. And I think that in order for this film to work, they would have to be. So, because they're so great in these roles, I think this film, for the most part, really, really hits it out of the park.
Yeah, I hadn't seen this film for quite a while, and I watched it several times as a kid just because it was one of my brother's favorite horror movies when I was growing up, so he would always have it and it would be on randomly when whenever. But I hadn't revisited it for a while, and I guess yeah, one of the things that really struck me this time watching it is just yeah, that sense of humor that runs through it. It's almost like verges on like corniness and didn't it really like I remember maybe it's because I'm a kid. I remember like I thought the movie was a lot gorier than what it actually is. There's actually very little gore in the film, and that's not to say that there aren't some very disturbing visuals because there are, but like the like actual gore, actual deaths, there it's not very bloody. It kind of has that in common with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a film that people I think in their mind think is a lot gorier than what it is.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I guess beyond the gore factor, the one thing that this film lacked for me, for the most part, was scare factor, and I think it's because it was so dependent on that. I mean, I am going to say corny, like that corny sort of sense of humor. These slightly elevated, larger than life characters, or at times not slightly. Like some of these characters are fucking bonkers, as we'll come to find out. Um, eh, there's a bit of you're slightly removed from reality. Whereas in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, at least with the protagonists, you were not at all. That worked as well as it did because you felt like you were in the middle of it. Like this could really happen. Whereas the scenario you're presented with this film, like as the movie goes on, it gets more and more absurd. They're hypnotizing people with machines. Like it's just like it's getting to a point where it does feel way larger than life. And because of that, I think it does lack a scare factor I really wanted it to have. But overall, like, did I enjoy myself watching this film? Absolutely. Like, there's a lot of fun to be had in this movie. And I am really excited to discuss it with you because, yeah, like, I had been wanting to see it for a long time. And I'm very happy that this is the film we're going to cover today. I think it's a great episode to jump back in after our time away for the film festival.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And a little palate cleanser from our last film we covered, Beaks. I think this one is definitely a cut above that in every way possible. But yeah, before we get into the film, I just want to remind people because I uploaded it the other day to our Patreon. We do have a Patreon that's still active. We still post content on it, and I literally uploaded the because we did several panels throughout the weekend, and the one I uploaded for our Patreon listeners was the villains panel that we did on Sunday with Michael Hargrove, Ken Kersinger, and Jonathan Breck, who plays the Creeper in Jeepers Creepers. So check that one out. It's on our Patreon. Subscribe, and you will get access to tons of content. But I definitely do want to get into Motel Hell because it is such a, I think, odd and unique viewing experience, especially coming from 1980. Because while it has all like it has all the elements of a classic like slasher film from that era. I would almost be hesitant to really call it a slasher film. I don't know. I think diving into the film, one thing that, with that I'm gonna get right into it. That opening scene, we get the nice, the motel. The motel is Motel Hello, but the gag throughout the film is the O is flickering on and off, so it looks like Motel Hell. Okay, we're introduced to Farmer Vincent sitting on the porch. He goes in to get some bullets for a shotgun. We do see Ida there sleeping in the bed, sucking her thumb, I must say, Roger. And this is a 45-year-old woman sucking on her thumb, laying with her doll. He gets in his truck and he just proceeds down the road. And I want to point this out because I had to watch the scene a couple times to see if I missed anything. But like, there's a couple on a motorcycle. He's kind of stalking around the woods. He sees them. All of a sudden, Roger, they crash. They just randomly crash. They fly off the road. They run into a tree. He goes and, checks them out. The girl, he throws them in the back of his truck. I was super confused about how they crashed. It is revealed later that he shot their tire out. However, Roger, we don't see this happen. And my inclination is the fact that the filmmakers must have been trying to hide the fact that Farmer Vincent was a villain this early on. So they just decided to like omit the part where we see him shooting. But like every single fucking poster art for this film spoils that Farmer Vincent and Ida are like the killers. Even the tagline of the film, it takes all kinds of critters to make Farmer Vincent's fritters. It lets us know this guy's a fucking killer. So the editing choice right off the bat was really odd for me. I don't know if you noticed that or not.
No, yeah, I feel that for sure. And I think that, like, even without the poster art, you go into this movie and I think it really sets the tone, like, right off the bat that this guy is not the hero by any means. Like, even, like, the very first thing you see of him is him standing in that deep red light of the no vacancy side. And it almost has, like, this evil kind of, like, demonic look to it. It's really rich and bold. And I really like that as an opening shot for him. But yeah, like, it's never in any way presented that he would be anything other than the villain. So I don't understand why that would be their instinct. I do want to go ahead and point out that this cast does have some of the best names I've ever seen in my life. We've got Nina Axelrod. We got Monique St. Pierre. And then we've got Wolfman Jack, like, as he's credited, Wolfman Jack. And I was like, what the fuck am I in for? If it lives up to the names, I'm ready to go on this one. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty big cast. And I don't even think you realize as the movie goes on just how big this cast is. There is a huge volume of like secondary, or I don't want to say secondary, like minor supporting characters in this subplot. And you realize how they accumulate very quickly. I mean, there's a lot of them. We'll get to that in a moment. But overall, I think one thing that works in this film's favor is when it comes to the core characters that the story is focusing around. It's a pretty small, intimate group of characters overall.
Yeah, there's four. There's four characters that the film really focuses on: Farmer Vincent, Ida, Terry, and the brother Bruce. Which again, I have another issue here with coming up in a scene. It's like, but we'll get there. So yeah, so after we see this motorcycle randomly crash and these two people fly off of it, he pulls his pickup truck up, throws the bodies in the back. He notices the girl's still alive. So he takes her back to the motel, carries her in. Ida, this is when we get introduced to Ida. She's when she's awake anyway. She's sitting there, she's singing and making breakfast, Roger. She is singing along to that, whatever that fucking gospel country song is on the radio. She's just having a blast with this song.
That brief little musical number she gives us, eating toast. I mean, Ida, like, there's definitely some developmental issues with Ida at play. I don't want to make any like assumptions here. She makes, as the film goes on, Ida makes bigger and bolder choices that just throw me more and more. She definitely has an angry streak. Like, she has this weird like vengeful streak in her. And I wish we saw a little bit more of that. I wish we got a little bit more of her going full hog, dare I say.
No, there's an angry streak and a jealous streak we see come out, which again, causes her to do some very questionable things. We also have to acknowledge, Roger, that Ida is none other than Ballbricker herself from Porky's, Nancy Parsons. So you'll recognize her if you're a fan of that raunchy 80s, teen sex comedy. Porky's, directed by Bob Clark, who gave us Black Christmas and A Christmas Story. You will recognize Ida from Porky's.
Troy, you're a wealth of fucking knowledge. Like, you are a wealth of pop culture knowledge. Listeners, listen to this. Listen to all these facts he's spewing. And he didn't look that up on Wikipedia. I assure you. He is just pulling it out of his brain.
Did you know, Roger, that Nina Axelrod was Miss Maryland? No, I'm joking.
I was like, it's coming. Oh, I was gripping onto my desk. I was about to break a piece of it off. I was like, if he knows this broad from some fucking bumfuck pageant. Oh my God! Continue. Jesus Christ.
So he tells Ida that he needs to get Granny's room ready for this random woman. And he puts her in the bed, and he tells Ida that the good Lord plucked this one right from the arms of the Grim Reaper, and he wants to keep it that way. So he needs Ida's help to make her some remedy, which she agrees to do. I question, I don't know. I'm going to say this. I like this movie. I'm not in love with this movie. I could love this movie, Roger, possibly if this whole fucking plot with Terry was eliminated.
Oh my God, you are preaching to the fucking choir. It's not only that Terry is a character who, despite having a solid amount of screen time, is completely useless. She's just there to have this very strange, unnatural romantic subplot that I want nothing to do with at all. It even turns me off to this film. It's her making out with that old man. I just don't get what's going on. This beautiful young Fräulein just eating face with this old geezer, and I was like, where did this fucking come from? We'll get to it, though. We'll get to it.
Her but milky boobs bouncing out.
Oh my God, you see her knock her so much. I was like, oh my Lord. I just wasn't what I needed out of this movie. But more than anything, it's really the fact that her character, if you're going to give her this meaty of a subplot, at least give her a massive redemption arc over the progression of the film. But no, she just makes the worst choices possible that make no sense at all. And then when it comes down to it, when we're finally getting down to business, she fucking passes out and she's tied down to a gurney and she's almost sawed up like a baloney. It's just I don't understand her purpose. Her purpose in general makes me angry. You're right. I didn't want anything to do with this weird, multi-generational romance that's going on with her and that old guy. You touched on a nerve, Troy. That's my big issue with this film. You touched on a nerve.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad because the viewings for doing this episode, I was like, oh my God, I don't remember this character being so. And when you're watching it as a kid, obviously you're not gonna question things, but now I'm thinking to myself, okay, so you're trying to tell me, because ultimately Farmer Vincent and Ida have been making their meats from human flesh for 30 years, as he says. He's been doing this for 30 years, although that raises a lot of other questions. You try to tell me that nobody has raised suspicion of all these people going missing in the same area for 30 years, and their last stop was this motel? That's a problem.
That's a high volume of people. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of
It is a lot of people. But then also, why is Terry, of all the people he's ever done this to, why is she suddenly the one that he's fixated on? I mean, she's fine looking, Roger, but I don't understand what his fascination with her is, and it's never really explained why he feels this connection with her, because he's oh, well, the Grim Reaper, or God ripped her from the Grim Reaper. No, he didn't, because none of the people that you do any of this shit to, none of them die. They don't, the driver of the motorcycle didn't die, so he was saved from the Grim Reaper. I don't get it. Okay, but then you couple that with the fact that this bitch decides that she's perfectly fine just staying with these people. Do you not have a house? Do you not have a home? Where did you come? She's perfectly fine. Just oh, yep, I guess I'm living here now.
Boy, this is some of the worst writing we've seen to date, and that's saying a lot. And it's not like this whole movie suffers from that. No, but specifically, anything to do with Terry over the progression of this film, anytime it cuts over to her, something stupid happens. She is so dumb. She's choosing. Yeah, she makes the educated decision. She makes the call to stay with these people after she basically comes to find that her boyfriend, her motorcycle boyfriend, she believes is dead. Not true. We'll learn that in a moment. But she then chooses to remain here. And I would be like, I have so many questions for all of you. First of all, what caused the motorcycle accident? Can someone explain that to me? There's a sheriff here. Can he do some research on what happened? Second of all, how dare you bury my lover without my permission? Like, I mean, that is crossing a line. And then for her to say, oh, well, I'm fine with all of this and I'm going to stay in this place with these people, it makes no sense.
Even after Ida like physically assaults her and then tries to drown her, she decides to stay. Okay, we're getting to the part where
20 minutes in and we just spent 10 minutes on this broad. I'm sorry. Oh.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Oh, okay. So, but you know what? Give me Terry over this next scene with these two little fucking twats running around. These two twin girls that are fresh out of The Shining, running around the fucking motel.
But that's the only way you dress identical twins. I'm sorry. Like, at least props to the costume department for putting these girls in haunting red lace dresses with pigtails. Like, I did think these girls were going to kill somebody, but no, they're just there for this little moment where they're startled. They're walking through the meat smoker, which is a big location in the film. You see a lot of this. Basically, it's the meat schlopper room where they go to cut up their meats. And the girls have this startled moment. We do have a moment where we see a very large, oversized pig head. That does come into play in a little bit as well.
Oh, I like the pig head. But yeah, these two little girls, they're running around, with fake guns, shooting at their parents. Farmer Vincent's trying to sell the parents a box of meat. Fuck, for $2.95. I was like,
oh my God, what a steal!
That's a fucking steal. And so yeah, the little girls run into the smokehouse and they're snooping. They have incredibly obvious dubbed voices as they approach the meat house. What's in there? I dare you to go. Whatever. They go in. They're snooping around. Their stupid little asses get scared by pig carcasses that come out on hooks. They take off screaming bloody fucking murder. They run to the car. They get in the car. They shut it. Roll up the window. They're still screaming. The parents are like, I've never seen them act like that. Farmer Vincent says, I'll take care of it. He goes in and he like literally just like growls at him. He's like, ah, and the little girls like stop screaming. Another thing that he does that's pretty presumptuous, Roger, he puts a fucking bumper sticker on their car.
He puts it on there without, I didn't even see that. He puts it on there without their permission.
He just goes up to it and he's like, here, I got something for you. Puts a bumper sticker. I'm like, you're not putting a fucking Farmer Vincent meat bumper sticker on my fucking
what
car.
kind of white trash do you think I am putting a Farmer Vincent best meats in what, Idaho, or where the fuck is this? Where is this supposed to be, by the way?
I think it's California because we do see later in the scene with the two swingers that show up, and we'll get there. Roger.
Get me there.
We do see that.
Get me there
yes,
faster.
I'm trying. I'm trying. I'll try.
Speed it along.
Oh, but he does. After this encounter, he gets on his little tractor and he heads to like this little remote area just beyond the motel. It's almost like I don't know. It looks like it's shrubs. It's like trees, but like forms like a perfect square. It's real odd looking, which, I don't know how he got away with nobody exploring this for 30 years, because even like Bob, the city inspector, is very suspicious of it. It has been very suspicious of it. But he unlocks like this camouflage door. That's the first sign something's crazy, because there's a door that literally looks like a bush. He unlocks it and he puts an 8-track in. Now we cut to the sheriff pulling up at the motel. He gets out. He goes in the motel. One thing that, again, it bothers me because it's like, we know, like, this film doesn't really know how to subtly, I don't know, weave in these little plot points, because what we find out is the sheriff walks into this motel and he's acting like he's kind of like never, been there before. He's ringing the bell. "Hey, is anybody here? Hey, is anybody here? Is anybody home? It's me, the sheriff." And fucking Ida jumps out and attacks him with a meat cleaver. She has a meat cleaver in her hand. But then Vincent comes in and like, "Oh, Ida, let Bruce go, let Bruce go." And it's revealed, Roger, that Bruce is the brother. Like he's their brother. He's been to this motel many, many times. So why does he, in this particular one moment, act like he's never fucking been to this place before? It's so weird. It's just like one of those things. It's like, oh, we don't want to spoil the surprise that he's their brother. It's just, it annoyed me.
I feel you on that. I think that this film occasionally takes a swing and completely misses in the sense of like how it's developing its stories or plot choices or relationships. There's the character of Bruce is overall, like, if anyone's the hero, I would say it's him. And for the most part, he's somewhat likable, but there's one or two things he does that are so detestable that honestly, like, I'm like, I don't want to be rooting for this guy at all. I do not want him to be the one that like I'm following through to the end of the story. Um, it just, yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow, and I just think that this film struggled in balancing likable characters. Like, there's really not many. The most likable characters in this are probably the two villains.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely given the most personality. I mean, I do think it's an interesting choice for this film to actually throw in this brother who is a sheriff who ultimately really has no clue what his other two siblings are doing. Like he's not aware. We found out he's not aware what they're doing. It's basically Farmer Vincent and Ida are the ones that are responsible for basically killing people and making them into the meat. But when Bruce is there, like, why did Ida attack him? Is it like supposed to be like something is it like a playful thing? I was confused about that too.
Ida has a lot of violent tendencies, and I think that's how she. At this point, I feel that's how she plays around or jokes around with him. She definitely is like unhinged. She's not the most unhinged villain we've ever seen, but there is an aspect of her that I think likes to like inflict pain or uh, you know cause emotional distress to people. You see it in her. There's a few things she does a little bit later on that I'm like even questioning, like, what was her end game with that? Is she literally just doing it to be a fucking like bitch? Like, is that why she's doing it, just to be a nasty bitch? And that just comes out over and over. And again, it's the most interesting aspect of her character.
Yeah, I agree. Ida is a very intriguing character. I kind of wish, again, they could have eliminated all of the Terry stuff and given us more like interaction between, Farmer Vincent and Ida, or even Ida like, kind of on her own doing things, because the interactions we do see with Ida, it's a lot of times it is with Vincent, and it is with like helping him and being his sidekick. I would have liked to have seen some stuff with her just kind of on her own because she really is an intriguing character. But yeah, so Bruce is their little brother. Terry now is up. She's awake in this white nightgown thing. They go into her, and the first thing she says is she wants to see Bo. This is when Vincent reveals that Bo has died, and she's like, oh my God, I still want to see him. Vincent says, oh well, that's impossible. I buried him this morning. Like, Roger, what planet is this acceptable? That you can just find somebody that got in an accident on the side of the road and decide, oh, well, I guess I'm going to just bury him.
And then after that, Bruce like sides with his brother, and he's like, "Oh yeah, like in this county, he has permission to bury him if whatever bullshit nonsense he's pulling out of his ass." Like, I mean, it's confusing that his brother decides to go along with it. I don't know. It's confusing because it is made clear that Bruce does not know anything about the meats. He doesn't know that his brother is like killing people, as you come to find out. So why is he so quick to side with him for burying this random man? Like, yes, I get it's your brother, but like also like you are the sheriff, like you have a responsibility here. So like, why are you okay with this? And Terry like should be raising far more hell. I'd be like, dig him the fuck up. immediately. We're not leaving him here on your property. Like, I'm not leaving him on this meat property. The smokehouse. Like, I don't understand. How do they think that's a reasonable outcome?
Roger, why wouldn't your first thought be to, especially if you're Terry, be like, we have family back in they can't be from that far away. They were on a motorcycle. They weren't traveling with luggage. They were just riding a motorcycle. I'm assuming they live fairly close. So if I was Terry, I'd be like, you know what, Bo's family is just like the next town over. I think you probably better dig him up so his family can give him a proper burial. But no fuss is made about it at all. And like, they even go to the cemetery so that Farmer Vincent can show a makeshift grave, Roger. Not even enough respect to give this man a real tombstone. It's a piece of wood that has his name on it.
You couldn't put together a more shoddy cross or whatever the fuck that's supposed to be if you tried to. Like, I can't believe they got the guy's name carved into that thing. And like, again, Terry is standing there overlooking this, and she's just like, I guess I accept this as what it is. Like, I don't understand why she's not more irate over what's happening.
Well, and then they tell her that they basically tell her, well, you're gonna stay here with us, and we're gonna put you to work. And she's like, oh, okay. I mean, this bit
Absolutely not. There is no way in hell that you are going to tell me that after I have received a massive head trauma from a motorcycle accident and been tended to by someone who is not a nurse, let's be clear, I've received no actual medical attention after this head trauma, that you're going to put me to work on your motel property where you've buried my lover like that. This is not a reasonable solution, and I don't understand. Like, I really wanted, my biggest gripe, Troy, is I kept wanting Terry just to speak up, say something. This is not normal. What these people are doing is not normal. It makes me so mad. Can you tell I'm emotional over this?
I know, but no, it really. But Roger, think of everything that she deals with, and it's perfectly fine with her. She's, like I said, she's physically assaulted by Ida several times. She's almost raped. Let's put that out.
Let's put that out there as well. This poor woman, the one person she should be able to confide in, tries to rape her. And in the middle of like sharing like a sensitive emotional story with him. Oh my God, this poor woman. Like, I just no wonder she fucking, like, by the end of it, she doesn't even try. I wouldn't either if this was what I was dealing with.
Oh, but you're right, Roger. I was just waiting for the moment that Terry just got some smarts about her, and it really is. And I mean, I thought we had some stupid fucking characters last review with Beaks. I'm sorry, Roger, and you kind of hit the nail on the head. Terry has to be, and I've seen a lot of fucking movies, you know that, even indie, no budget indie shit. Terry has to be one of the worst written characters I've ever encountered in my life.
Troy, there are literally moments coming up where she actively says, I think I'm going to stay here. I like it here. And like, I never wanted to reach into a television and shake someone by the shoulders more than this woman. Like, I'm like, you are experiencing, not Munchausen syndrome.
No, Stockholm syndrome.
You're experiencing Stockholm syndrome, woman. Like, you are being forced to believe that these people are your saviors when they're really your fucking captors. Like, you gotta make a run for it.
Oh, but you know who doesn't put up with any bullshit is fucking Bob.
Oh, Bob. Sensible.
It's Inspector Bob showing up now for a spot check. And, Vincent isn't bothered. Vincent doesn't seem too bothered by him. He tells him, hey, go ahead, make yourself at home. You're not bothering me. So he goes into, like, the pig pen. And these fucking pigs are huge. And but this is kind of the moment we see that Bob looks over at this area, this foliage surrounded area. And you can tell, like, he's always been suspicious of this area. That's kind of what I like about this little moment. He's like, he's always been suspicious of this little area. But then he gets out of the pig pen and he goes up to the smokehouse to kind of do some investigating when Vincent pops out with a cleaver and scares him. And he falls back into that mud puddle. And he's like, yeah, some of those paws look infected. You better get those checked out. But you can tell right away, Bob, there's some history between Bob and Vincent. Bob definitely has some hostility towards Vincent and Ida. I would like to know more of that story.
I think one of the missteps that this film makes is like I think some of the most exciting aspects of this movie are actually these tiny little subplots that come out. You meet all these little characters, they're introduced, and like they're all like sacrificial lambs, like in a way, in the sense of what happens to them. But they're briefly introduced, and then like it's not like any of these characters that you ever really come back and learn more about them. They get like a little vignette moment, and then they're out. Bob being the first, well, technically the second, because we did meet Bo here a little bit earlier, but he's really the first to get a lot of focus. I think that this film would have done well because we're talking about getting Terry the fuck out of here. Of like, if you would have cut out the Terry subplot and just focused on these subplots, they are so much more interesting. Like you're absolutely right. I want to know more about like Bob and his weird animosity towards the siblings and this weird tension that they have. And I want to know more about that fucking swinger couple too. Like there's so many characters in this that I find so much more interesting than Terry that I think it's a little frustrating that like these characters have these great little moments and then they're like rendered to be nothing more than like drooling like zombies in a way, as you come to find. So I think it's kind of unfair to some of these characters and their storylines. But I do find them all rather entertaining. Like this first whole bit with Bob and everything it leads up to, it's a great introduction to what we're about to, a big revelation, what we're about to find out about the family.
Yeah, well, we cut back to the house where, Terry is there making herself at home. She's watching that sermon on the television. And I think that pastor, Roger, I think that's Wolfman Jack. Just FYI.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. But and Vincent comes in and he's very sweet to her, but it's just Roger, this is another thing that bothers me. And I'm not like shaming anybody for, age differences in relationships or whatnot. But let's be clear. This farmer Vincent is probably 3 times Terry's age. And when he's like first has this moment with Terry, does it not come off as being like very like grandfatherly? There's really there's nothing really romantic about it, which again puzzles me as far as where the story goes with Terry, because in this moment, like I don't get the impression that like Vincent's coming on to her or anything like that. He's being very grandfatherly. He's like, I know you think you're alone, because she's like, I'm so confused. I don't know if I should go home or what. And of course, Ida butts in and says, you can't go home until you're better. But Vincent gives her this whole like little nice pep talk where he's like, you're not really alone. You have yourself. And in fact, you sitting here proves that this was predestined and you belong here. And then all of a sudden she like cheers up. She's like, oh, I guess you're right. Thank you for being kind to me and saving my life. But like, I want to know how this like sexual relationship developed between these two characters. Are we just to assume Terry has some a thing for elderly men? Because honestly, Bo, let's be honest, we do see Bo. He looks to be about twice her age as well. So maybe she just has a thing for older men. Maybe she has an Anna Nicole Smith.
I mean, if you're gonna set that up as like a plot device, you better like prepare me for it. I mean, like, okay, to each their own. If you're gonna be making out with geriatrics, who am I to judge? We all got our things, but like, there's nothing at all setting the groundwork for what is the revelation of this romantic fixation she has on him. She's the one to really push for it. That's what's weird to me. And you are so correct in like acknowledging like when he's making himself available to her and being there to comfort her, it is extremely parental. Like there is nothing sexual about it. And I think that's what makes it so like strange and sour when it does become sexual, because she completely pushes it in that direction and he accepts it. But like it does not seem to me at all like he's trying to be anything more than just like a father figure giving her sage wisdom and advice. And I think again, like we're talking about all these issues with Terry, there's going to be fucking a lot of them, but like it's really just like this writing, like I feel it had to be a man that wrote this character and all of her dialogue. And I think that it's simply something where she just wasn't prioritized. Like they had to get the storyline to go a certain direction. She was the tool to move it in that direction. She was kind of what set that off with the motorcycle accident. She provides this character that otherwise is just falling to the wayside, and everything that happens to her, all of these little twists and developments are done so in a way that it seems like it's completely uncaring of her character and what she's going through and what she's experiencing. Like it just feels like this film it does not care about Terry at all. Like this movie does not care about the character of Terry. And for me as the viewer, if anything, I feel kind of like bad for her. I feel bad for the actress. Like after watching this, it's just like kind of disappointing. She's so fucking lame. Like she is just not an example of like a strong woman in any way at all. All of the choices she makes are just kind of like stupid decisions. It's disappointing.
Yeah, especially coming out around the time when we started to really get the final girl archetype, right? I mean, 1980 is right around the time when the Laurie Strodes, the Jess Bradford, the Alice Hardy from Friday the 13th, these strong final girls that really stood up at the final end and stood up for themselves. And Terry is just like the complete opposite. Like, wow. Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it. Like the filmmakers, the writers especially did not care about this character. It's just kind of a trope they wanted to throw in, and unfortunately, it does. I think it does affect the film. Like it does affect the film for me in a negative way. But after this little talk, we kind of get our first real revelation of like kind of what's going on because Farmer Vincent, he turns on the no vacancy sign of the motel. He sees a car drive past and it's Inspector Bob. And for some reason, at this point in time, this Inspector Bob has decided this is the night I'm going to go check out what is in this like hidden or this like garden shrub area. So he gets out of his car and he's kind of walking along and he finally finds a point where he can climb up the shrubbery and he falls over into the surrounded like big garden area. And this is when we see for the first time the bags, like the bags moving back and forth. They're in the ground. They're covering something in the ground. The bags are on them. They're moving back and forth. Some of the best imagery from the film comes from these moments in this garden, and we kind of follow Inspector Bob very slowly as he goes up to one of these things and it's moving back and forth, and he timidly reaches down and pulls the bag off of it, and it's a man, and it happens to be Bo, and he is gurgling, making these horrific like gurgling, slurping sounds, and it is these sounds, Roger, I guess are probably for me one of the more memorable things about the film. Once you hear these sounds and you see these people like buried into the ground with just their head sticking up and they're making these sounds, it is quite a memorable sight to see and sound to hear. Although I think sometimes the sounds and the way these things act, I think you nailed it earlier when you said zombie like. It's a little too zombie like for me in some moments. Like it's like these are just human beings who we find out have their vocal cords cut so they can't talk. I don't know like what the I know it's for effect, but like there are many times where they come off as being like almost monster like instead of human, and it kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit.
I feel the exact same way. We're hitting a lot of the same notes with this. And you know me, I love a zombie. Like, give me a zombie any day of the week. But not in this film. It's not necessary. There's enough other things going on, as nonsensical as they may be. Like, you don't need to throw that in there into the mix. And I really think this film would have been scarier if they did not choose to like layer in these noises and everything because they're so exaggerated. I don't think this is the sound that people whose vocal cords are cut would make. Personally, I have never met somebody whose vocal cords have been cut. I don't know. But like it's very monstrous. It's like these big gurgly growls and they're like thrashing. It sounds like it's it's like a monster. And I think that what this film does have playing in its favor is a very unique setup that does not feel like many other films in the genre. This whole thing of people being planted with the bags over their heads, it feels completely unique. It's really cool. I'm all for it. There's some great striking imagery, but kind of like as soon as those sounds come into play, it does pull me out of it because I'm very much aware that these are just supposed to be normal people who are injured and trapped, and even their reactions don't make sense to me. Like, I would expect them to be looking around, crying, terrified, and they're just like, blah, 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 like growling, up at them like they're animals. And he even refers to them as animals. But like, these people don't have brain trauma or anything. They're still fully aware, functioning adult humans. So it just doesn't fully land for me because their response here does not make sense. And it's consistent the whole way through. Every time someone's buried and bagged, whenever they're revealed, they're like these thrashing little monsters, and it doesn't seem at all like in line with how they'd actually be responding.
Yes, it's very much like they have lost all of their human traits and now are just like you said, mindless, zombie type creatures. And it's troubling because these are victims. Like I have an issue with maybe the film trying to paint the victims as almost like monsters. I get that it's kind of a unique thing to do, but like we have to keep in mind, like these are people that have been horrifically, uh, trapped, in various ways, as we find out, whether with being having their tires shot out or whatever, and then they're fucking buried up to their necks in the ground, having their being injected, having their throat slit so they can their vocal cords are slit. And it's like the film almost, to me, at times like makes these things seem like the villains instead of Farmer Vincent and Ida. And it just, to me, it's like a little jarring. And yeah, I mean, the way these things act, cool at first. Like, let's be real. You watch this movie for the first time, it's like, oh yeah, this is fucking cool. But then you really think about it, and you're like, wait. I don't know. I don't know that a human that was just that, like you said, that just had all of this inflicted on them would necessarily act this way. What else is going on here? But we were right there with Bob's horror as he's like watching poor Bo like thrash about, and all of a sudden a shovel hits him in the head from behind, and we see that it's Vincent. And there's our first, like, I guess, real reveal that Vincent is definitely the villain of the film. Um, Talk about a bunch of of secondary characters, Roger. We now cut to this band, band traveling down the road. It's Ivan and the Terribles, and Vincent is just out there, Roger, setting bear traps in the middle of the road. And of course, the van like hits the bear traps and it basically crashes down the side of the embankment. Vincent pulls up and he creeps down there with a can of like gas, like, and then he sticks in the van to like knock them all out. I mean, this is pretty elaborate, and which again, he's been doing this for 30 years and nobody's caught on.
Do you notice how bad the fake mustache and beard are on the one guy in the truck?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I mean, it is one of the worst fake mustache beard combos I've ever seen in a movie. But yes, it did. This whole band. I mean, we're talking, what is it, 4 or 5 people? You've got like you got the one chick in the group, and a bunch of guys. Like, they are just dispatched so quickly. And like, here's another like moment where you meet these characters. You get nothing. You get nothing on them. You just know they're in a band because their vehicle says it. And then so quickly the vehicle flips. They're all gassed. He puts it up into the window and leaks that kind of not laughing gas, but what is it? He uses it on everybody pretty much. He has this little thing he walks around with.
It's like, yeah, it's just putting them to sleep. I'm not sure exactly what type of gas it would
Yeah.
be, but it's nitrous oxide, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever that may be. So he's using that to knock him out. And then, you do get to kind of go through the experience of like what happens with the process of, bringing these fuckers out to the field and digging up the holes with a big old drill and putting their bodies in. Like, at least you get to see that, but it's at the dispense of these characters who get absolutely no storyline at all. Like, they literally are just, when I say sacrificial lambs earlier, they're sacrificed for the sake of the story. These characters have no impact on anything. They're just random fodder, and you're just there to see them get buried, so you have an idea of how this goes and what the process is.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, he basically dispatches a whole band, and nobody ever comes looking for these people. But yeah, he gets their bodies, he puts them in the back of his truck, he drives back to get Ida at the motel, and in the car, he is he does make this comment to Ida that he is just realizing how important the traps are to him, and she says, "Why?" And he responds, "Well, it gives me a chance to be creative. I can get creative in the ways that I trap, quote unquote, these people, whether it's bear traps on the road." We find out that one time, they put they laid her in the middle of the road next to a burning car so that a car stopped to help. Again, we have this whole history of them abducting people right from this motel road. I just boggles my mind that nobody's put anything together and like has come looking for these people.
Yeah, a huge volume of people, and for years. And the way that these two talk about it, it's kind of baffling for me, because like, whenever he selects, whoever it is that are going to be his next batch of meat, they instantly become, in his words, animals. Like, he treats them as though they're just like farm animals. Like, they even hook up tubes and feed them. And it's really weird to me how he dehumanizes these people. But then he goes around, he's talking all religious. He's preaching religion earlier to Terry, and everything is like infused with like ideas of God and all of that. And like, what this guy is doing is horrible. Like, he is trapping and killing and eating people. He's feeding human flesh to this whole entire fucking town. And I guess I'm confused as like where that separation is for him, where he stops looking at these people as humans and just looks at them as meat. Because it doesn't seem completely in line with other things he's preaching or what he's saying or how he's existing.
Yeah, well, he says several things that are kind of self-righteous throughout the film about how he treats his animals better than most farmers treat their livestock and stuff. And like, but like, I'm sorry, burying somebody up to their neck and keeping them, cutting their vocal cords, and that's horrible. Like that's horrible. That's horrible. But he also tells Ida at this moment that he has a surprise for her. So they get the stuff out of the truck. They go into the garden where, they play some music, and we see just, I mean, how many heads are in this garden at this point? Like dozens? At least a dozen. And like I said, I cannot believe nobody has put it together that these people are missing all from the same area, but whatever. Ida goes in first, and she takes this bag off of Bo, who is there, and he's gurgling at her and hisses at her. And he tries to like bite her, and she slaps him and tells him, you're gonna learn real quick how you're gonna have to not how you're gonna have to try to sound better, because people with their vocal cords cut, they have to learn to communicate in a different way. So again, we find out that they're also cutting their vocal cords, because in fact she pulls that band-aid off of his neck, and we see the wound with the stitches, which is pretty gnarly, because I'm thinking, ugh. And they're doing it like right while they're in the ground. That's not sanitary. Can you imagine like that wound's gonna get infected? Ugh.
Oh yeah, and these poor people, like what they're doing to these people is true like torture. Like, I am somebody who does not like to be restrained or bound at all. Like, if I can't freely move my arms, I panic. I start to panic. And the idea of being buried to my neck in soil and then having my vocal cords cut on top of it, oh. And like, yeah, it does look really gross. Like, she pulls back the bandage, you see the stitch marks on it. So it's really just very cruel what they're doing to these people, and it's a lot of people. Like, even in the movie, like the volume of people that you see this done to is really high. There's more victims coming.
Oh, so many more. But yeah, you get the moment. I like this. This is a moment where we do see how, like you said, how they plant these people, because Vincent comes in with that giant like drilling bit that drills the hole into the ground. Before they get started, Ida says, "Wait, you forgot to show me my surprise." And Vincent's like, "Oh." So he reaches down and he's like, "Here you go." And he pulls the sack off of one of the heads, and it's Bob. So Vincent's already been able to plant Bob, cut out his vocal cords because Bob's like, "Blah, blah, blah." And Ida's like, oh, it's Bob. Bob, when did you drop in? And I'm like, But we do. But we get this whole little like moment where we see him planting the bodies, digging the holes, how they put the bodies in. And when they're done, they're kind of standing there admiring their work. And again, it's a very striking visual, seeing like the shadow, like the moonlight hit these heads, these freshly buried heads. And you get that moment where Ida says, you get this moment where Ida looks at Vincent and she says, Vincent, they are pretty funny looking critters, aren't they? And Vincent's, oh, you know what they say, Ida? It takes all kinds of critters to make Farmer Vincent's fritters. They laugh about it like it's the funniest thing they ever said. And then it goes back to more horrifying shit because they literally take these needles full of, I don't know what type of liquid, and inject them into each of their necks as they're screaming in pain as this needle's being thrust into their
Oh
fucking
my
neck.
God.
That one, the one woman, the only female in the band, she's like, terrifying. It's horrifying.
I would hope it'd be sanitary simply because they're going to be eating these people. Like, I mean, the people, yes, I don't want them to get infections, but like also I acknowledge they're going to be eaten here shortly. So like I'm more concerned about the tainting of the meats. If it's all infected, you have infected meat. People are eating infected meat. That's not going to go over well. For their business plan with those $2.95 meat boxes that I want to get myself at least 10 of those. Those sound delicious.
But yeah, and then they like proceed to start cutting the throat so that they can cut the vocal cords. Well, now, Roger, we move to, I believe it must be the next day, and they are the four of them. We're talking Vincent, Ida, Terry, and Bruce is there as well. They are having a picnic in the middle of the cemetery. Is that what it looked like to you? I'm like, this is an odd place for a picnic.
I have no fucking idea what's going on in this scene. I'm gonna tell you right now. Like, I have no fucking idea. Terry seems much too content just sitting there eating them ham sandwiches with these people. She is way too comfortable in this situation.
Oh, and she's saying, this is literally the best ham I've ever tasted. I've never tasted anything like this. And she says to Vincent, now I know why you're famous around here. Why haven't I heard of you before? And he says, oh, because, I only sell my meats in a 100-mile radius so that they can stay fresh. And she asks him very innocently, well, she's like, well, how did you get started with smoking? And Roger, we get the story. And again, Terry, a fucking idiot. She ignores all these red flags. Like Vincent, Ida, and Bruce proceed to tell her a story about when they were younger, Granny, they couldn't afford an icebox. So Granny smoked everything. She smoked possums, frogs, everything she could get because they couldn't afford an icebox. So that's how Vincent learned. And there was this one day, Roger, where the dog, their family dog, would not stop barking. And Granny was trying to take a nap. So Granny told Vincent to go and shut the dog up. And Vincent's like, I shut him up all right. And Ida chimes in, she's like, he smoked that dog so good, Granny thought it was the most delicious thing she's ever had. And they are like laughing about fucking smoking and eating this dog. Even Bruce. And Terry's like, you ate some of it? And it's like, Bruce is like, well, yeah, it kind of tasted like goat, except a little stringier. And they are just chuckling away at this. And she doesn't seem bothered by it at all.
I would be fucking out of there. The moment they're talking about eating dogs, I don't care. These hilljack people eating fucking dogs, I'm done. And then they say that they've got that chant that meat's meat and a man's got to eat. And I'd be like, no, a dog is a dog. You don't eat that meat. I'm sitting here looking at my Vishla, imagining eating him. I can't even imagine eating poor Leo. He looks tender. He looks rare, but I don't want to eat him. Or Greg. You can make Greg. Imagine eating Greg.
Oh,
tender.
that would be a feast.
A feast.
That would be a feast. That would be a feast. But no, and I mean, I have Gracie. She'd probably make a couple of good strips of beef jerky. I don't know, but I'm not. But come on, this is insane. And and then to top it off, Ida is getting drunk. I'm assuming they're drinking. What are they drinking? They must be doing shots because Ida's almost 3 sheets to the wind. Because she leans over and she's like to Terry, she's like, you want to know why Vincent's meats taste so good? And Terry's like, well, yeah. And Vincent's like, what are you rambling about over there? And he hears Ida. She's like, because he mixes the pork with, and all of a sudden, Roger, he fucking slugs Ida in the fucking stomach.
That's a good sibling relationship, though. Like, I mean, like that makes sense. That tracks for me. These people seem like they have violent tendencies. I get it. And does she deserve it? You know what? Yeah, I just kind of a bitch. I get it. I don't support punching women, but she seems like a bad person.
But again, it's something that like what why is Terry like she just like okay with it? She's like, "Oh, that's funny." And at that moment like Bruce does like be like, "Yeah, we should go for a walk. Like let's get out of here." So he takes her and then we see that they actually go out on a canoe in this pond. So they're just having this conversation. He's asking her if she likes it and at the motel, and he says, "You must be getting really bored, going stir crazy." And she says, "No, no, no, I like it. I actually really like it. It's peaceful. I've never lived on a in the country before, and I'm really really digging it." He's like, "Oh well, that's too bad because I was going to invite you to go to a movie." And he reveals that he wanted to take her, or he wants to take her to a drive-in movie, something, The Monster That Destroyed the World or something. And she's like, "Oh, that sounds great. Okay." So they set up a date. Um, yeah, and now we cut to Ida and Vincent going to that fucking garden in the middle of the night to feed these people. And Roger, they put like funnels in their mouth and go around and like pour the food into their mouths.
These poor fucking people. Life, what a horrible way to go out. Imagine you and I being next to each other, buried in that dirt with our fucking vocal cords cut, just like looking at each other, being like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'm sitting here with a fucking funnel taped to my jaw. What they're pouring like chili down it. I don't even know what they're doing. Probably more of that fucking human meat. And I really like how they have like Ida and Vincent have like casual conversations with each other as they're feeding these humans who are fully submerged in soil. Like they're so casual about it.
Oh, he says, "Oh, listen to them eat. Isn't that a great sound?" Ida says it's better than that sniffling and hissing they do all the time. And Vincent says, "Oh, Ida, they're good animals." Yeah, at that point that he buries them, he refers to them as animals. It's crazy. And Ida asks Vincent, "Do you think that in the years to come, people will appreciate what we're doing here? Someone has to take responsibility for the planet." Now, I do want to stop here because there are little tiny moments like this where we have to make an inference like why they're doing what they're doing. It's almost like beaks, like why the birds are attacking. It's kind of actually the same logic because they really think ultimately what they think is that they're doing something good. They don't they're not killing because they like to kill humans. What they're doing is they think the world is overpopulated and there's not enough food. So as Vincent says later, I'm killing two birds with one stone. So there is kind of a twisted logic to what they're doing, which for 1980 I think was kind of a little bit I don't know, ahead of its time to be talking about like taking responsibility for the planet and whatnot.
Yeah, no, I think again everything the strongest aspects of this film, its greatest strengths are Ida and Vincent, and a lot of their dialogue is some of the most interesting elements of what's brought to the table with Motel Hell. Like whenever they're talking, their overall like instabilities, like there are definitely some weird quirks about these two. It's hinted at, when their brother talks about them that they are very weird, they're very different. But there's definitely like there's some deep issues with these two people. I mean, they're fucking chopping up people and making them into sausages. Of course there are. But hearing their reasoning, their rationale, like the fact that Ida even is like touching on like, what are they gonna think about us? Like, are people going to care about what we're doing? And like, it's like the things she's touching on. It's weird. I'm trying to like piece together their reasoning behind it, but it definitely is stemming from some definite insanity. It's kind of beyond rationale.
Yeah. I mean, we obviously care about the planet, but we're also not going to like propose we start like burying people and eating them. There's other solutions, but I mean, they do give this as like their reasoning for doing it, and in their mind, it justifies like killing all of these people. Now we shift to Bruce and Terry parking. Now keep in mind, this bothered me too because he's a sheriff. He has a lot of pull. He has a job, obviously. I would assume you make decent money being a sheriff. He told Terry he's taking her to the drive-in, right? Does he actually take her to the drive-in, Roger?
He takes her to like a fucking lover's lane overlooking the drive-in, so he doesn't even have to fucking pay for it.
No, exactly. And like he pulls up and Terry's like, I don't see anything. This is not funny. He's like, oh wait, we're parked by the wrong tree. And he like turns his lights on and we see all these cars parked. And he gets on his intercom. He's like, this is the sheriff. You guys all better clear out now. And we get a moment of like naked broads getting out of cars, running across, running through the fucking parking lot, getting into other cars. I mean, and they all speed away. They're speeding away so fast they like crash into each other and stuff.
Oh, it's almost like like a Benny Hill moment. Like you got all these naked. You even get a little bit of a dick, and then you got like a flash of a dude's dick in the ass there for a second. But it's really goofy, and they all speed away, and they're all colliding. But then it does leave the two of these individuals alone together, and Troy, I'm sure like you knew that I was going to want to talk about this moment here specifically that we're coming up on, but like, for all of the things that we've complained about with the character of Terry, I really think here is a moment right now where the character Bruce gets docked some major points in my book for what happens here. And it's really, really kind of awful, and it makes me very upset. Like, what are your feelings on the sequence that we're coming up on?
Well, first of all, I mean, again, let's go back a few steps to how big of a tightwad this dude is. He can't even take this girl to the proper drive-in. He has to park miles away, and then he gives her binoculars. I would be like, no, sir, am I sitting in this car for 2 hours with binoculars to my eyes watching a fucking movie? What do I look like? She is happy as a lark. And it's not like he doesn't have some pull because Roger, he calls the drive-in on the radio and he's like, hey, darling, can you pipe the sound through channel 20? Why couldn't he have just like, if he has that sort of a relationship with the drive-in lady, couldn't she have just let him in for free? I mean, I don't know. Weird.
Dixie, the drive-in lady, is my favorite character, by the way, because you only hear her for a second. She's like, "Sure thing, Bruce," and then she turns on the audio. No, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Like his character does not have really any redeeming elements to him. So if you're setting him up to be the protagonist, like it's kind of like just like one thing after another. He just kind of keeps fucking up, and there's nothing that's really making him look like a hero, which I guess is maybe kind of a creative choice, but they take it so far with what's about to happen that I don't think there's any going back from that.
Before we get to that moment in question, we do cut to two girls driving down the road. And they're talking about how they are these hookers, Roger? Did I understand that right? They're talking about the weekend at the ski resort. They made $1,500.
I mean, good for
they're
them.
Hookers,
man.
right?
Good for them.
Yeah, I was just wondering. I mean, I said they're hookers, so they're driving down, and they come across a whole menagerie of cows that are blocking the road.
Like cardboard cutout cows, or like wood. They're not real cows, to be clear.
No, they're not real cows. And we kind of now we know what's going on. Vincent likes to get creative with his trap. So he has these wooden cows blocking the road. The blonde one is very sensible. She's like, I am not getting out of there. Just drive around it, knock them over. Let's get the fuck out of here. The driver, she's like, nope, I don't want to. I'll get out and I'll move him if you're going to be a chicken shit. So the dark-haired girl gets out. She walks to these cows. The moment I realized that these were wooden cows, my ass would have been out of there. Someone is setting you up. Like, how stupid can you be?
Yeah, there's no way I would do anything but plow right through them, to be honest. Like, I'd be like, nope, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
The blonde suggested, and the dark-haired girl goes, are you going to pay for my body work? It's wood. Like, literally, it's not going to do anything. You knock them over going 2 miles an hour, you're fine. But, like, risking your life knowing that somebody just like set a trap for you, you're fucking stupid, an idiot. And what happens? Fucking Vincent pops up from behind one of these fucking cows and injects her in the neck. I mean, I did not need to see this scene to know that I will never stop for anybody on the side of the road especially in a deserted area. I mean, I remember my mom, my grandma, and my aunt drove from Iowa, Roger, to Florida to visit my grandfather, and they were driving through rural Georgia. And they tell this story. I remember them telling this story multiple times. Where like they were driving down this dark road. It was like 3 in the morning. They come across like this person laying in the middle of the road, and it's three women, and they argued for a bit, but my aunt made the decision just to drive around the person because there was a car, and literally they look in the rearview mirror. The person gets up out of the road and gets in the car. And it's like, fuck that. Fuck that.
Oh my God, that just gave me chills. Can you imagine? Oh my God, I don't even want to talk about it. Holy shit, that's
I know
scary.
if they would have stopped, like who knows what would have happened. Yeah, no, I'm not sorry. I'm not stopping for your ass. And I'm definitely not stopping for some wooden cows. But yeah, Vincent puts that gas thing over the dark haired girl's face, and the blonde starts screaming. I think the blonde is what's her name, Debbie.
Yes, Debbie. And she's selling it. Debbie's screaming her lungs out.
Let me tell you, but Debbie is a great little act, but one of the best performances in the film, as short as it is.
Yeah. Oh no, she's definitely one of the standouts, and she makes some of the best choices out of all the characters for her brief sequence. I really like the visual of Vincent in the extended gas mask. Like he's got like this gas machine, but he has this gas mask on as well. He only uses it really in the scene. I think I don't think we see him any other time wearing it. But it's really like kind of a strong visual. I wish he would have incorporated it more because he does look rather intimidating here. Like this whole moment of him coming out and gassing the one broad and, moving towards the vehicle as Debbie makes the smart choice to drive it the fuck away. He's rather creepy. Like this is the first time I think that we've seen Vincent and he's been somewhat scary.
Yeah, I would agree. Definitely creepy in this moment. And, I feel bad for Debbie because she does make the right choice. And then kind of what happens to her left me scratching my head. But we're going to get to that because now we go back to Bruce and Terry. And Terry is just sitting there minding her own business, trying to watch this movie where Bruce, of course, has to lean in and try to give her a kiss. And she very politely, Roger says, Bruce, please don't do that, okay? Let's just watch the movie. He quits for a second, but then Roger goes right back to try to kiss her, and she smacks him. I gotta give her credit here. This is the one time Terry like stands up for herself. She smacks Bruce, but Roger, does that stop him?
He like smirks, and for a minute I was like, oh, he's definitely like he's just one of the villains. Like I having not seen this, I was like, okay, well, this is horrible. Like clearly he is a bad guy, but like no, this guy is not a bad guy. But in this moment he does something really really horrible, and it makes it so hard, Troy, for the rest of the movie to like this guy because he genuinely, like, I'm convinced if they didn't get distracted by the radio coming through, I am convinced he would have raped her. Like, I am thoroughly convinced he would have raped her in that car, Terry. And, like, I don't know how you come back from that. Like, whoever wrote this script really was not thinking because this guy is pretty much our hero and he makes one of the shittiest, most sleazy decisions he possibly could. And it just really leaves an awful, awful taste in my mouth with him.
Well, and nowadays especially because we've gone through like the Me Too movement and stuff. I mean, I'm not excusing this particular scene in this film, but it was 1980 and stuff like this was very like commonplace in films, unfortunately. I mean, you can probably find at least a dozen films from this era that has this exact same scene, right? I mean, and luckily we've learned our lesson and that this stuff, especially if you're trying to have a protagonist or a hero, that he can't do something like this and it be okay. Now, the other problem with this is that Terry seems fine with it ultimately, and that really bothered me as well because I don't think a woman, I think her reaction really undersells like the severity of the situation because he does get really fucking aggressive with her. Like after she slaps him, he goes in and he's like really aggressive. And the only reason he stops is because they hear a voice start screaming, somebody help me, please, please help me. And he's like, oh, fine, fine, okay. Which I mean, I guess we can infer that he would have stopped eventually if she would have screamed loud enough. But still, that's not okay. But she tells him, she says, oh, that's not me, and they realize it's coming from the radio, and so he radios in, and he finds out that yeah, somebody's in trouble, and he is able to to talk to Debbie, and she's like, somebody's trying to kill me, and she's like hysterical. And so they back out to Troy to go follow her because she says, I'm about 10 miles out of town and he's trying to kill me. But yeah, I mean, getting back to the whole, attempted rape thing, or what, the forcing himself on her, I guess I really wish there would have been like some stronger like consequence for him, or some stronger reaction from her, because ultimately when they get back to the hotel, she actually has the gall to tell him that she had a really nice night with him. And I'm thinking, lady, he almost fucking raped you. Really?
Yeah, man. Like out of all the issues I have with Terry, it's how she responds to this situation that I think is the most unappealing. But I was just, I was really hoping for her to like have some kind of like I keep saying like redemption moment, in the sense of standing up as a strong woman, and again, you'd mentioned this earlier, this is 1980, but like look at fucking like Black Christmas. That was years prior, and like you have Olivia Hussey, who's a boss bitch, and she's just telling men how it's going to be, and she's getting abortions, and no one's going to tell her otherwise. And this gal, this guy almost rapes her. She tells him she had a nice night. I'm just like, yeah. At this point, I've seen stronger women at play in stories like this. I've seen women who have proven to be so much more respecting of themselves and capable and competent and motivated to do better for themselves, and she just is not that. She does not embody that, and it's really disappointing. And yeah, you specifically mentioned that one moment that really left a bad taste in my mouth, and it's the fact that she enjoyed her time with him. Like, fuck off. Like, fuck off.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the film would have benefited if a female maybe would have read the script before they finalized it, because so many of the decisions by Terry, I think, could have been resolved by like actually having a female like read the script and be like, no, that's not how someone's going to act. That's not how a young lady is going to act in any situation. The film does a really terrible job at like painting Terry as like this helpless, almost like blonde bimbo, and it's like almost like, oh, well, look, we have this blonde, and she's so stupid and she's so helpless that she's just gonna like stay with these people that have done all this shit to her because she's an idiot. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I was really bothered by this moment as well, and her reaction to it. But then, I mean, talk about a puzzling reaction. Like, we cut back to Vincent chasing Debbie, who turns her car down the road to go next to this pond. And I mean, he's like bumping her car, and she is screaming. She's still on the CB radio. But like, there's this moment, like, she just like falls over. Like, did I see that right? She just like faint.
I was guessing, like, I was like, I guess this has to be her, like, in the middle of, like, the whiplash, like, maybe, like, getting her head knocked out or something, and I haven't rewound it, but it didn't, yeah, not at all.
She just like falls over. She's like, oh, and he gets out and gets her, then pushes her car into this like swamp a la Norman Bates, and we do see that there's like other cars that have been again. Has nobody? How has nobody caught on to this? How has nobody caught on? I don't know.
Yeah, mind-boggling.
I mean, we do get this moment, I guess, to show that how and why Bruce didn't catch up to Debbie, because his police car got stuck in the mud, and he gets out and tries to push it, and he ends up falling back into the mud puddle, so he's covered with mud. And we cut back to the garden, and I'm sorry, but Vince and Ida work really quick because they already have these two gals buried in the ground.
That does not seem like an easy task at all. Like, these are, I mean, think of me. I'm a big girl, and I'm trying to imagine somebody trying to, first of all, drill a hole the size of my body, let alone then physically like maneuvering me in so I'm still standing upright, and then filling that hole with soil. It just seems like a task. I don't want to work that hard. These fuckers are so much more devoted to the craft than I would ever be. This is why I couldn't be a killer, the likes of Ida and Vincent. I could never pull it off.
They moved quick because, I mean, they had to have done this in a matter of like literally minutes. I mean, literally minutes. And while they're admiring their work, we hear a car honk, and Vincent's like, "Who's that?" Ida says, "Oh, it must be Bruce." And Vincent says, "No, that's not Bruce's car. Oh, did you remember to turn the no vacancy sign off?" And Ida says, "Oh shit." And now we cut to the motel, Roger, where we get this couple. We get this couple, Roger.
This is you and me, Troy, first of all. I'm clearly this buxom blonde. But, if anyone's stealing the show here, it's these two fuckers. And they're doing it with little to no screen time. Like, I mean, these two individuals are barely on camera, but the moment we get with them, gold. And they got some talents here coming up I was really not expecting. This woman is a skilled, I mean, she's got to be like a Michelle Pfeiffer stunt double from the Batman Returns movie, because, well, Michelle Pfeiffer didn't have a stunt double. That was her that did that with the whip. But this gal's about to do something with the whip that I was not prepared for. And really, like, I just don't understand the purpose, but I needed more of that than I needed anything with fucking Terry or any of that nonsense. Give me more of this shit. This is what I'm saying. Characters that are introduced and don't get enough time to really like base and develop. So you get these tiny little moments with these really interesting characters, and then they're never like properly revisited. And these two suffer the most from that, because this is like, I mean, why would you introduce these characters, give them this time together, really develop their personalities, and then just dispatch them so quickly,
Yeah, it's Edie and Guy, to be clear. They do have names, Edie and Guy. So, when we're introduced to him, Guy is just like being kind of the typical, alpha male. He's like, "Oh, honey, here, try this beef jerky. It's the best in town." And he's being all, macho and shit. And this is a blonde, like big old blonde hair. And Vincent comes out onto the porch finally in his bathrobe. And he says, "Oh, we decided to retire early for the night. Do you guys need anything?" He's like, "Yeah, we want a room." So they go into the motel lobby. At the same moment, the sheriff comes in all muddy, and of course, Guy and Edie are a little taken aback. She says, She's like, "Is this place safe? Like, what's going on?" And Terry comes in and she's like, "Oh, we heard a girl. Somebody was saying she was trying to kill her. She was screaming bloody murder on the radio." And Ida comes out, and Ida says, "Oh yeah, I heard about that. It was basically just some kids making prank phone calls." I think Bruce would be able to determine if that was the true. I mean, again, Bruce is the sheriff, right? Like, I don't know. How wouldn't he have known that? Wouldn't if somebody got on the radio and be like, "Hey, Bruce, just so you know, that woman you're chasing, it's just kids making prank phone calls." But he accepts it. He's like, "Oh, okay, whatever. I guess I'm gonna go home."
I think all the issues with Bruce kind of mount to the biggest issue being that he is also the sheriff, and like he needs to be so much more of a take charge personality, and he is not. Like, I would anticipate a character like this would be a lot more forthright and just aggressive and like I said, like take charge of the situation. And Bruce just does not have that trait. Like, I'm confused as to how he became the sheriff. It doesn't really make sense. It doesn't seem to fit him and his personality. So it's strange that he has that job title, because nothing about him really seems to fit it at all.
Oh no, I agree. Like, this guy is like the least convincing sheriff of any film I've ever seen. I mean, he definitely is not a take charge sort of guy like the sheriff in Shallow Grave, that beefcake, murderous beefcake. But Jesus Christ, yeah, give me him any day. But no, so Bruce leaves, and this is when Terry's like, "Oh, thank you, Bruce. I had such a wonderful time with you." And I'm like, "Bitch." But and then Terry decides to go to bed, and like this random moment before she goes to bed, she goes and gives Vincent a kiss. I'm like, where is this coming from? Like, where?
There has been nothing that's happened so far that would at all allude to the idea that Vincent wanted anything from her, romantic or sexual or otherwise, and when this happened, I was like, ugh. I was like, please don't go there. Like, is this going there? Please don't go there. And it goes there. I mean, it does. I'm going to say it right now. It goes there, but I was not prepared for it.
Oh, and we can't forget what Bruce says to her right before he leaves, which is even more like cringy, knowing that he's like a would-be rapist. He tells her, "Remember, if you ever need a little excitement, you know where to find it.
God. Oh my God. All the men here. Well, everyone here, honestly, all these characters are just kind of awful people, but like, fuck, like you gotta give some of these characters some redeeming qualities. We've talked about so many times, and I mentioned this kind of earlier, but having, even if you're making villains, you gotta kind of keep in mind, like, you've gotta have some likable aspects to certain characters. How many movies have you and I seen where every character is just like completely detestable? And unfortunately, this film, like, it kind of is that, aside from, again, the villains and a few of these side characters, because the characters that we're supposed to be rooting for the most are by far the most unlikable. And it does make for kind of like a bad taste in my mouth.
Oh, I agree. So Terry goes to bed, and so how these swingers ended up at this motel, because now Ida's out there, and they are both Edie and Guy are eyeing, like, and I'm wondering, okay, I don't want to be, I'm not trying to be mean, but like, why, if you were these swingers and you saw Vincent and Ida, would you be like thrilled and gung ho about getting a room so you all four could fuck?
I mean, uh, to each their own. There's already several people in this that have a thing for the elderly. So I guess this is just a shared trait amongst more people than I anticipated. I don't have that, and no offense to anyone who's listening who may be a geriatric, but personally, I never had a daddy fetish or anything like that. I can't relate to the how old these people are and the fact that all these people want to be intimate with them.
But like, okay, and this swinger couple, I mean, they're probably like in their early 40s, I mean, not bad looking, and they're literally eyeing Vincent and Ida. Let's not forget Ida, like they're pieces of meat, and they cannot wait to get in this motel room with them. They even tell Vincent, hey, you can bring your daughter, and he says that's not my daughter. But like, I can't imagine looking at Vincent and Ida and being like, yeah, I need to fuck them. It's weird. But what's weirder is like how they ended up getting to this motel is like they have the swingers brochure, like this brochure that has all these different like swinger properties. And apparently they saw the sign that said Vincent's Meat, Farmer Vincent's Meat, and they mistook it for an advertisement in the swingers book for Vincent's Swingers
Oh
Hotel.
my God. I love that. I love that for them.
Because the blonde shows that she's like, the blonde, Vincent's like, I'm not sure I know what you mean. And so the blonde hands over the brochure, and Vincent's getting ready to say, oh, I think you made a mistake. And Ida stops him. She's like, no, 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 you're in the right place. We're going to give him a cabin, Vincent, and we'll be over there in a minute. And they're all giddy. They're all giddy. And so Vincent gives him cabin number 1, nice reference to Psycho. And these two sexually aroused by geriatric swingers go into cabin number 1, Roger, and they proceed to
Put on a show.
put on a show. We got Edie in a dominatrix outfit with that whip. Just Roger, what is she's doing is she's vandalizing the hotel room. Like, I would feel like this is not a very smart thing to do. Like, you just invited the motel owner into the room and you're literally destroying it with this whip.
I have been chomping at the bit to talk about this moment. I've been ready and raring to go. This whole podcast episode is simply to talk about this one scene, because this is the moment that sells it for me. So you got this unexpected whip scene, and she is putting in the work more than anybody else in this movie. This woman is whipping to and fro, left and right, on the bed, breaking lamps, breaking mirrors. And yeah, I'm like, okay, this is really bold of you, ma'am, to be straight up destroying this hotel room without batting an eye. But I mean, at the same time, I'm like, this is who I fucking want to be in my life. Like, this woman, she's so athletic and agile. The whip, she's so quick with it. And I'm like, I don't know even what fetish these people are going to get into with this thing, but I'm sold on it. And then all of a sudden, what's his name? What's the guy? Guy comes barging out of the bathroom in a plastic skirt made out of a lampshade. And I mean, he's dressed like a lady. He's shaving his chest. and she is definitely the dom in this situation. I like that. And I mean, and they're ready to just have a fucking good time. These are my kind of people. I could have watched a whole movie about these two if they would have gone back to the drawing board and just written a script about these two running into these two siblings making meats. That could have been it. That would have sold me on this movie so much more than what we got.
He comes out of the bathroom and he says, Edie, where's my jelly?
Oh, and then she's like, I want you to shave your chest. And he starts doing it.
And this outfit he has on, you have to see it to believe it. I don't know what it's supposed to be, but yeah. And as they're frolicking around the room, they finally like look up, and here we got Vincent and Ida standing in the room in their overalls with ropes slung around their shoulder.
I love that they're just laying in the bed, like going to town, and they look over, and there's Ida and Vincent stone face, just looking at them, like emotionless, and like it is a really kind of funny moment. This is a sequence where the humor in the movie does kind of land for me, and then they like walk over, and I love that like these two are so in it, like they literally are like, yes, hog tie us up, like they're like willing and ready to go, and it's not until like right before Edie gets the gas that she realizes there's something like maniacal going on. It's I don't know. I think this whole sequence, this whole bit is really fun.
And and seeing Ida and Vincent in their overalls with the ropes, I mean, it gets Guy and Edie even more fucking sexually excited. And I think you might find it maybe too comical or whatnot, and tonally maybe a little bit off from the rest of the movie, but I really do think that they needed a scene like this. This one's fun, so it works because keep in mind, Roger, the name of the movie is Motel Hell, and so far we have not seen anybody like from the motel or a guest at the motel be one of the victims. So mainly we've been led to believe that he is like abducting people from the road, not necessarily like people that come to stay at the motel. So I do think that this scene kind of needed to be there so that we see, oh God, yes, these people do actually abduct and do this to their visitors as well.
Yeah, it is a little misleading, I would say, the title. Like the motel element is one of the least explored aspects of it. It's not like Psycho where he's constantly checking people into the hotel and so much of the setting takes place within the hotel rooms. Like overall, you don't see a ton of the inside of the hotel. You're seeing a lot of like the inside of like the smokehouse and like the back of the property and so forth. So I agree. I was happy that we finally got into one of the hotel rooms. And it was clear that they do, in fact, use this as a tool to gather their meat. But it does, harken back to what you said earlier about the idea of like, if all of these people are coming here, like, why has there not been any more investigation into it? I do like the fact that at one point Guy is like, do I need to check in? And Vincent's like, oh, there's no need, implying like they're basically acting as though they were never there. So that I guess that touches on it a little bit, but it is kind of like shocking how many people come through here, even over the course of what I'm assuming is a few days, as long as it takes to fall in love with a geriatric man, a couple of days, that all these things happen, that so many people, like they get so many people buried in this garden. It's shocking.
I know, and like I said, nobody's questioning it. They get a whole band. They get those two chicks. They get Bob. You would think that his place of employment would be inquiring about where he's at. Like, hey, Bob needs to do more inspections. He was last at the Motel Hello. Let's go. We need to find. No, it just seems like perfectly fine that all these people are missing. The Vincent gasses Edie and Gus, and the next thing you know, they're planted in the garden as well. Terry wakes up early the next morning because Vincent says, you're up early. And she says, I guess I'm getting used to life on the farm. I'm like, bitch, you're not on a farm. Like, you're at a motel.
Ma'am, you've been here for 3 days. 3 days. How long has it been? Not too long. Bo's still alive in the backyard.
Yeah. And then like, how are this elderly couple, these siblings, they're I mean, think about how much work they're doing. Like they have a motel they have to take care of. They're smoking meats. They're doing. I'm like, wow, they're keeping busy. Vincent asks her if she would like to learn his secret to smoking meats, and she says, well, yeah, I'd like that. So he goes off for the day on his tractor, and again she kisses him again, and she then goes to snoop in the smokehouse, and she's looking at the smokehouse. We see all the smokehouse tools. It's very ominous, and as she approaches like the door to like one of the storage rooms or something, fucking this is when Ida comes thrashing out of this room, grabs fucking Terry by the neck and slams her against the wall. And it's like, what are you doing here, girl? Do you know what Vincent would do to you if he saw you here? She's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was just looking around. Vincent told me he was gonna teach me how to smoke meats. And Ida like relaxed and she's like, oh, did he now? Well, that's different. So she like leads her away, and there's this whole little moment where she's trying to divert Terry from seeing that in this barrel there's like foot and a hand that are emerging from like the blood. Her solution to distract Terry is to say, what a wonderful day for tubing. And Terry's like, tubing? And and Ida says, you've never been tubing?
These two make tubing look good for me.
Well, but again, this is a moment of like Ida like physically assaults her and she seems perfectly fine with it.
Oh, yeah. Ida has these weird, irrational, violent outbursts that I don't know. I would not feel comfortable being around her in the same room. It's always brandishing a butcher knife. And it just, yeah, she seems like she's got a lot of anger and hostility, and she's kind of just oozing out of her. But for some reason, Terry is so unbelievably passive about all of these things, and they do go tubing. I mean, they make that tubing look real good. Especially fucking Ida in that flowered swim cap. I picture you wearing that, Troy. That whole getup. I see you in that.
Oh, head to toe, a swimsuit from head to toe. Like she's totally covered in this whole swimming ensemble. Yes, complete with that bonnet, Terry. But yeah, we find out that tubing is basically them jumping into that pond in inner tubes, and they splash around for a little bit, and it's a little moment where we're like, oh, look at Ida and Terry, you're bonding. How sweet. But that's not the case, because as things calm down, Ida maniacally reaches up into her flowered bonnet, Roger. She pulls out a razor, a box cutter. And it was established moments before that like Terry says she can't swim. Ida tells her, I can't swim either. It's not a big deal. That's why we have the inner tubes. They'll protect you. And as Terry's just relaxing there, Ida proceeds to slice her own inner tube so that her inner tube deflates and she goes into the water and she starts screaming for Terry's help. She's like, help me, help me. So Terry has to go over there to help her. But when Terry gets there, Roger, Ida proceeds to fucking drown this girl, like hold her underwater, laughing the whole time. And it isn't until like Vincent somehow, how Ida didn't hear Vincent get into the water, because all of a sudden Vincent's there to save Terry. I'm like, how? What?
Well, and then she plays it off like, oh gosh, oh, I was just trying to stay afloat. Like, because of course they go back, Terry starts to come to, and the first thing Ida does is she apologizes to her, making it sound like she was drowning and she was just trying to stay afloat. And I don't understand how Terry keeps blacking out in these key moments where she needs to remember what happened, because very clearly, at least to me, it was very clear that Ida was trying to drown this girl. And she somehow has no recollection of it. And it doesn't make sense, because here's yet another moment where like things just don't line up. Like when that whole pool scene happened, like Ida was like chasing her around, like pushing her down, literally pushing her down with both of her hands. How does Terry not remember that at all?
Yeah, I mean, it's real odd. Terry is just way too passive, way too forgiving. Um, and also Ida, I mean, because she does tell Ida, yes, I forgive you, of course I do. And so Ida leaves, and Vincent and Terry are there in this room. She's in this bed. She tells him, thank you for saving my life. And then she proceeds to like kiss him, passionately. And she's like, and he like pulls away, and she's like, no, Vincent, kiss me passionately. And she like pulls the sheets down, and her big old titties are hanging out, and she's like, come on, take me, Vincent, take me. And he's like, stops her. No. She's like, well, what's wrong? He's like, we need to wait until we're married. Where the fuck is this coming from? Like, seriously, where the fuck is this?
Oh my God. I was so mad when this happened, Troy. I'm so mad. It's, again, because she's the one that's like instigating it. But like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, beyond her, like, Vincent's never seemed that he was at all like romantically invested in her at all. And like, let's also acknowledge, like, how long has she been there? It's clearly not that long. Like, it just, none of this makes sense. I really think she must have had some head trauma during the motorcycle accident. Like, something had to happen, because she is really like going for the oldest guy in the fucking room. Like, there is no one in this movie older than Vince. He's so old. He's so like, I like, no shame on the guy, but like, it's not like he's like a salt and pepper daddy. This is just a very old man. He's an old, frail man. Like, maybe she wants to be taken care of. Like, maybe she's got a daddy fetish and she just wants someone who's going to, like, you know, take care of her emotionally, because that is what he's been doing. He's been giving her, like I said, sage wisdom, giving her advice, comforting her. Maybe that's what appeals to her. But like, she barely knows the man, and it's then they make out, and it's just like, I don't want to see it. Like, I don't want to watch it. And no offense, you know, if you're someone who's married to someone who's 60 years older than you, like, more power to you. And I hope everything about that is exactly as you want it to be. But I don't want to see that in this movie. Her boobies, her flat little milky white titties flipping and flopping around as she's seducing this old man. It's just gross. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, and it comes out of nowhere. Like, I don't, there's not enough in this film to like justify where this leads, and it leads to them getting married. Like, it comes out of nowhere. Like, yeah, she's been at this house for no more than 3 or 4 days. Like, it's not like she's been here for years. 3 or 4 days. She just lost Blow, who I'm assuming was her husband, because there's this moment where earlier in the film where they ask if they were married, and she, I mean, gives a gesture like they were. Your husband died 4 days ago, and now you're marrying this 80-year-old man. I mean, come on. And after he tells her that they need to wait till they're married, she says, are you proposing to me, Vincent? And then he like looks at her kind of sheepishly, and she's like, oh, I want to be alone for a little while. And then it cuts to him at the church, getting the pastor to have the wedding. I'm like, what?
I truly thought that she was going to be like plotting something. I mean, I honestly thought that there had to be an ulterior motive here to what she was scheming. Like, I was like, okay, well, clearly this is going to all come out in the wash. It's going to be clear that like she was trying to, marry this guy because she believes he has a lot of money because of his fine meats. I don't fucking know. She wants the motel. I don't know. Something. There's got to be some rationale, but no. She genuinely just wants this elderly dick. And like, as if this character wasn't already like completely like insufferable. Like, this is really just the cherry on top of the sundae. She's just such a fucking lame ass, and I just wish she wasn't in the movie. Like, and I hate saying it because her acting, it's not like she's bad. She's beautiful to look at. She's really not awful. She's just given such shitty material.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I hate to go there, but yeah, this movie would have been, I said at the beginning, this movie would be so much better without Terry. And it's no fault of the lovely Nina Axelrod. It's just that the character is just such a horribly written, useless character. Even in the end of the film, she does nothing like to do it. Like, it's not like she steps up a la Laurie Strode to become a badass final girl. I mean, none of that happens. So yes, this pastor Wolfman Jack is thrilled that Vincent's getting married. He even says, glory, glory, glory. I'll be there tomorrow to join you in holy matrimony, Vincent. I'm so happy for you. And then he walks over to the sheriff, who is looking at a Penthouse magazine. We see the centerfold Penthouse magazine. He reveals to the sheriff, he's like, oh, aren't you happy your brother's getting married? And Bruce is like, what the hell are you talking about? And it's just kind of this little moment where the pastor like, where'd you get that? Are you looking at a pornographic material there, Sheriff? And Bruce says, well, I confiscated it from some teenagers, and pastor's like, well, maybe you should give it to me and I can dispose of it properly. So he takes it, of course. But then the whole point of this scene is to get Bruce the information that Vincent is marrying Terry. I'm sorry, Roger. Bruce's reaction is just like our reaction. He's like, what the fuck? There's no way. He must have put a gun to her head. There is no way that she would marry that old geezer. Or he says old goat. There's no way she'd marry that old goat unless he put a gun to her head. That's it. He's forcing her to. So he speeds off to the motel while leaving this poor pastor to go masturbate with this Penthouse magazine.
I mean, good for that pastor, I guess. I really thought that character was going to come back because he's been in all of those like news reports. Like you keep seeing them, or not news reports, but like every time they cut to the TV, they're watching this pastor. So like I was really expecting that we were going to get more of an arc with him, possibly having him buried, with everybody else. Did not happen though. This is the last you see of this guy.
Could you imagine him being buried with everybody else and trying to like give sermons with that hissing with no vocal cords? That would have been. I like what I have seen.
Oh, how I wish. Oh, how I wish.
No, so Bruce rushes back to the motel, and again, problematic behavior. He just barges in the bathroom. Terry's in the bathtub, full tits out to the wind, and Bruce just barges in.
Tits out to the wind. They are. The tits are out to the wind. This girl's just flipping and flopping them in everybody's faces. But I mean, she's in the bathtub. Like here, this guy's busting in on her in the tub. Another poor choice on behalf of this sheriff. But they do have this big conversation where, he is telling her how it is, and he is right. He's talking about how, how old Vince is, and talking about how his dick's not going to work, and it's nothing more than a shriveled prune. And these are all concerns I would be having as well. I'd be like, this man's genitalia will not function at all, my dear. I don't believe that they had Viagra back in 1980. Correct me if I'm wrong. But like, this girl's going in and she ain't gonna, she's not gonna be getting anything from this man. She's got to take care of business herself. I'm thoroughly convinced.
Hey, she's just a young, supple blonde. Like she wants some dick. And Vince and Bruce is like, you'll see his pecker ain't gonna work on your wedding night. Unfortunately, she is like, you need to stop it, Bruce, and you better get out of here before Vincent gets back. Well, unfortunately, Vincent has been back and he's heard this whole conversation, and he comes into the bathroom with a shotgun. And Bruce is like, oh man, I'm just kidding. Wasn't that funny, Vincent? And Vincent's like, if there wasn't a lady here, you'd be chock full of bird pellet. And so Bruce is like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And Vincent's like, you better get the hell out of here. And as he's leaving, he literally like shoots a fucking hole in his wall in the direction of Bruce. And Bruce takes off. Again, Terry's fine with, like, you're watching this man you want to marry, like, just shoot a hole in the wall at his brother, and you're still perfectly fine with it. I don't know.
None of this would make sense at this point. I'm thoroughly confused. No one's rationale or reasoning is at all believable, but I'm rolling with it. This movie, like we said earlier, it's got this sense of humor. So I think the one thing that maybe keeps it floating is there is this like consistent kind of like, I would almost say like wink to the audience, very self-aware that it's being cheesy. It's corny. From the humor between the siblings to a lot of the events that happen, like throwing back to like that whole bit of them pulling up on the Lover's Lane and the people running around naked. Like there's all these like kind of like wild, absurd moments, the goddamn whip sequence. So I think that's the one thing that kind of keeps me from being like completely pissed off by this movie is like, I don't think it's supposed to take itself seriously, and it doesn't want you to take it seriously. So because of that, I can give it a little more grace.
And I think that's what's carried the film honestly all these years, because this film does have a pretty strong fan base, pretty strong following. And I think that's why. It's because there is that little kind of wink and humor that runs through it that makes people maybe overlook a lot of the film's flaws, because let's be honest, there are a lot of flaws here. And again, I think that there's enough imagery in this film that is striking and unique to also warrant it being celebrated nowadays. I mean, because this is a film that I think still is held in high regard among horror fans. And so luckily, Roger, it does have those things, because otherwise, I mean, I think this could be a very forgettable film, unfortunately. But as we're plowing towards the climax, which is probably one of the more celebrated parts of the film, we get this moment where Vincent gives Terry a ring, and so it's official. They are officially going to tie the knot. Ida comes in, donning party hats and champagne, and they're having a gale time. They're toasting, they're drinking. Ida wants a toast to herself, so they're gonna do that. They toast to Ida for the hell of it, and then Vincent asks for a kiss. Again, weird because now he seems like he's totally into this because they start going at it like French kissing. I mean, we're getting tongue and everything. And Ida takes this moment to pour some powder into Terry's drink. And she stops them from kissing, and so they can do their cheer. And Terry drinks the drink, and she immediately, Roger, passes out. And Vincent says, she's out. Let's get to work. So why did they have to knock her out? Because they haven't knocked her out at any point so far in the film when they've been doing this stuff.
Oh, I was so confused by this. At first, I was like, "Oh God, have they been planning all along? Are they going to turn her into meat?" But yeah, I think like the reason they knocked her out is because he doesn't want her to see like what they're doing, and now like there's no way to really distract her because of the engagement. But it still seemed like kind of like maniacal, you know, like I was really like, what the fuck is the ulterior motive here? But I really think it was just a matter for her to not know what is about to happen with all of the people buried in the fucking backyard, you know?
I guess so. Yeah, because it does, Ida already tried to kill her, so when Ida's pouring that powder into her drink, it's kind of misleading the audience to think that she is doing something on her own, right? That's maniacal, maybe poisoning Terry, because it's obviously she has this jealous streak. When she found out that Vincent told Terry that she was going to learn how to smoke meats from him, that's when she tried to drown her. Now, what her end game there was, like, if she really would have drowned her, was she just going to tell Vincent, oh, she drowned? Who knows? So it does kind of mislead the audience. So it is a little bit surprising when Vincent is like, oh, yep, she's out now, let's get to work, because we realize, oh, they're both kind of in on this plan to knock Terry out. Now we go to Bruce, who stops on the road to where the motorcycle crashed, and he sees like some blood splattering on the tree that the motorcycle hit, and he kind of does some little exploring, and he finds like the bike like crashed, and he sees that the tires has been like completely blown open. So he does a little bit of investigating. Now, Roger, we move back to the garden. Ida and Vincent are there. They have these 3 psychedelic spiral lights that they're going to use on 3 of the band members that they're going to take out of the ground and carve, because Vincent says, Roger, no animal should experience unnecessary pain. So they are going to hypnotize these 3 people, and boy, do we see it.
Boy, do we see it. We see a lot of it. There's one thing I didn't think I needed to see in this movie. It was a whole sequence of people being hypnotized, but here we are. I mean, this movie's really throwing us everything in the kitchen sink. And yeah, you've got this whole bit of this weird fucking machine, which how did these 2 procure or construct this thing? How do they even know how to execute this? Like, where does one get this thing? But here we are, this big, bright, colorful contraption that proceeds to hypnotize the men in this band. And I mean, this movie's far-fetched, but it's not so far out of reality that I found this development to be acceptable. Like, I was like, this is absurd. What is happening here?
And we watch as the 3 men buried up to their necks get transfixed by this, and they're like making those gurgling noises. It's real weird. And they're Ida and Vincent are counting down from 10, and they're like making references to space shuttle travel. He tells them, we're going to project you beyond Mars. And he tells Ida, all right, Ida, time to put the space belts on our passengers. And she's like, aye, aye, Captain. And she comes and she puts 3 ropes around their necks, and then he's like, prepare for takeoff. When I get to 1, you're going to take off, right, Ida? And she's like, yep. So they count down, 10, 9, 8. And he gets to 1, and she gets on that fucking tractor, Roger. And these poor things were just trying to enjoy being hypnotized. And instead, she fucking breaks their necks.
This whole thing is so elaborate. The tractor like rears up on his hind wheels, and like all 3 men, their necks are broken, and like it's so goofy that I think it almost takes away the severity of like what a violent kill this is when you think about it. Like 3 men just had their necks broken in unison and are now about to be turned into sausages. And because this whole thing is just so fucking wild, I didn't even think about it. I didn't think about, oh, they just ended the lives of these 3 guys. I was too busy thinking about how the fuck did you make that tractor fucking like rear back like a horse? Like it's just so stupid. But like, okay, like again, it's so far fetched. You just kind of have to roll with it. And like it is building up to something that's about to get really good here in a little bit. Like, let's be real, it's coming.
So their necks are broken, and then Vincent proceeds to like literally unplant them. He pulls them out of the ground, and they take him back to the smokehouse. All the while, Bruce is now at the swamp. And like, so these locations obviously aren't like that well hidden so that people don't come across him, because what would make him go to the swamp now? But he's at the swamp where he sees Debbie's car, but then he starts like looking into the swamp even more, and he realizes the swamp is literally, Roger, full of automobiles.
How are people missing this? He says there's over 200 cars in there at one point. I don't understand. This is, I mean, it's a big enough swamp, but it's not that fucking big. Like when he shines his flashlight, there are full of like, you can see like the shapes of vehicles through the water. It's not like this is easy to miss. So how are people not catching on that there are all of these vehicles submerged in this reasonably small swamp? Again, I'm asking far too many questions that I really should not expect to be explained by this movie. But like, it seems like just like basic rationale. Like if there are that many vehicles in that swamp, you are going to see them, someone's going to spot them, and they're going to be reported to the cops. How this was missed, I just don't get it.
The question of the night for me is like, how is nobody noticing how many people have gone missing by this motel in 30 years? Well, I now once Ida and Vincent take the bodies to the smokehouse, we do see that in the garden, Roger, one of these animals, quote unquote, starts to stir pretty aggressively. Like this person, not revealed who it is yet, they are not having this anymore. They are like, get me the fuck out of here. So this person starts wriggling frantically. In the smokehouse, Vincent tells her to take the 3 bodies and strip them down and clean them up. And while she's doing that, we do see that he takes a slice of meat off of one of the things to eat. The body, Roger, in that garden is stirring even more to the point where it actually breaks free, and it is Bo. He proceeds to be able to like dig everybody else out.
I love that he at least doesn't run off and leave everybody. Like he gets all these fuckers out. And even the setup here, like the whole reason he's able to get free because the other 3 bodies were like removed, he's able to like move the dirt enough. Like, I mean, I do feel like this is kind of a natural progression that I can dig. And I really like that these individuals are now getting to like come into play more. What they do with them is really not like all that satisfying. Again, it leans very much into that whole like zombie like mentality. They form like a mob almost. They're like a horde, and they're basically they're on a mission. They're gonna hunt down these fucking siblings and get their revenge, which I support. But I'd rather they get their revenge with like shotguns, or I don't know, like they go in there and just fucking start kicking ass, you know?
They become very feral, like very feral, very like demonesque. I thought like there's a specific shot here coming up that reminds me very much of Demons, the film that we covered a long time ago, and we'll get there. So Bruce, like, he heads back to the motel, storms in again, just storms in Terry's bedroom. She's trying to sleep. He wakes her up to tell her that she's in danger and that he thinks that Vincent's trying to kill her.
Was she not just drugged, Troy? Like, she's waking up from a drug stupor, and so would she not be like, I was just drugged? You don't know if you were drugged.
She is so fucking stupid. Now, back in the smokehouse, Ida has the bodies. I do like this little moment. She has the bodies boiling in big pots. We see these bodies in these giant pots. Vincent comes to have her like lower the third body into the pot, and he can tell something was wrong with her because she's just being like, very like lackadaisical about everything. And he's like, well, what's the matter with you? And she's like, I'm hungry. Can I slice off a piece? And he's like, no, absolutely not. We're short on supply. How are you short on supply when you've literally in the last 3 days abducted 30 people?
There's so much meat to be had. There's pigs everywhere, and you people are not lazy. All you're doing is abducting people. Like I'm baffled by this reasoning. But he sends her to the house to get food there, which I think is rather rude because he just ate a piece of that meat himself. He was just nibbling.
I know. He tells her, she's like, I can't help it. I'm hungry. He's like, then go get something to eat, but make it quick. And boy, does she go. She goes inside right here. She makes herself a giant sundae with whipped cream. And she gets a fucking piece of chicken that she squirts ketchup all over.
Oh, that's me with that sundae. You know how much I love whipped cream, Trey? I fucking love it. I can go through 3 cans of that fucking whipped cream. And when she's eating that chicken wing, because there's a minute here where she overhears her brother and basically telling Terry what he thinks is happening, and it's all starting to come together. And there is this really great moment that takes place where you see her gnawing on what is like a chicken leg, and she's just taking big old chomps out of it. And I was like, "Atta girl!" I was like, this is my kind of woman. She's plotting her revenge and eating a fucking bucket of chicken. Like, this is my kind of lady. And it does kind of build up to this moment where like everything is about to hit the fan here in a second.
Yes, because she hears Bruce tell Terry that he found Vince's shotgun shells by where they crashed, and she's like, "Well, that's who cares? He duck hunts by there." And he's like, "No, I dug some out of your tires." And then he says, "You don't even want to know what I found in the marsh. I found about 200 cars. So we need to get out of here." So I just heard this. So as he's exiting Terry's bedroom, she literally fucking attacks him. And again, this is a grown man. Like, he's a sheriff. You would think he'd have some self-defense training, but Ida takes him out pretty quickly, like knocks him out pretty easily.
Oh yeah, like, and it's pretty like lame, this whole fight sequence. I mean, not saying like it's lame in the sense of poorly executed. It's just like she like tackles him against the wall and he's down. And then I feel like, honestly, I feel like Terry, like, I feel like Ida could have still talked her way around the situation. Terry would have just listened because she's so fucking like just sold on whatever it is that Vincent is giving her. Like, she's already overlooked the being drugged and everything. So I feel like at this point, like, Terry will kind of go along with anything. So I think Ida, like, pulling the gun on Terry was a mistake, because she could have just been like, oh, my brother Bruce, he's really to blame, or like whatever. And Terry would have been like, I believe it. He tried to rape me or something. I don't know. But no, like, she just pulls the gun on her and she brings her back to the smokehouse. And this is like entering that final stretch of the finale where things are starting to pick up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she takes her to the smokehouse and tells her, we're going to teach you the finer points of meat smoking. Ida takes Terry to Vincent, and Vincent is like, he's like, look at me. What do you see? Girl, look at me. And she spits in his face. And I'm like, that a girl. Ida laughs fucking hysterically. She thinks it's the funniest thing ever. And Vincent's like, you shut up and you go get Bruce and bring him in here. So Ida leaves and heads back to the house, and we get this shot of the garden inhabitants kind of running up the pathway. Like, very, like, they're all stumbling. They're walking very zombie demon-like. That's what I'm saying. It reminds me of the shot in the film Demons, when like the demons first come out of the, we see that shot of all the shadows of the demons coming out of the theater. You know what I'm talking about? That's kind of what this reminded me of. But these
Very much.
But these are human beings, so why are they like stumbling around, growling, like walking real? Like I said, it's too zombie-like.
It just doesn't fit the what's happened to these characters, and it does actually take away some of the fear factor for me, because it almost gives it like a fantastical vibe that, other than that, this film is in no way like fantasy at all, but they're pushing these things to be like so monstrous that it naturally just feels like a fantasy element to the film that it does not need.
Yeah, well, as Ida's going into the house to get Bruce, I mean, one of them jumps out at her, and it's that dark-haired broad that got out of the car to push the wooden cows out of the way. And there's this whole moment where, like, she's like, Ida thinks it's funny. Like Ida doesn't realize right away. I don't think she realizes how much danger she's in because she's like, "Oh, how'd you get out? What do you want? You want a drink?" And then she sees the other ones coming towards her, and she's gets this big old grin on her face, like she really thinks it's like funny that she can out, perform these things. But they descend on her pretty quick, and before you know it, like they are on her. They are on her.
I really liked seeing this moment transpire where she gets like tackled against the wall, but this is technically like the last we see of it for a lot of these individuals. And I think they could have gone so much harder with this. They could have done so much more with this moment. I do feel like it's kind of a wasted opportunity. It's cool to see them mob her, but I wanted to see a lot more come from the final result of this.
I agree. I mean, Ida has been a pretty prominent character throughout the whole film, so I think watching her demise would have been definitely would have benefited the movie, but because of what happens to her is like all off screen, so we don't really see anything, and it's like you kind of want to see your villains get their comeuppance, and in this case, you don't really. I mean, you ultimately see the final result of what they do to her, but like not how they got there. And I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that. Instead, you shift back to Vincent, who is now like just very brazenly out in the open. He's carving up these bodies in front of Terry. And again, Terry's reactions throughout the whole film have been pretty understated. And I think in this moment, they're even like, it's even worse because she's literally watching him like cut up human flesh, and her reaction is so like muted. She's like, oh, this is terrible. Come on, girl, haven't you ever cleaned a fish? I treat my I treat my animals better than most farmers do their own stock. He says, I'm doing the world a favor. We have too many people on this planet. And she's like, what right do you have to play God? And, this is when he has this whole spiel about, I'm not playing God. I'm literally doing the world a benefit because there's not enough food and there's too many people. So I'm making a solution that addresses both of those problems. And so he walks away to go to the smoker room, and Terry immediately runs to try to get out. He sees this and he runs up to her and grabs her, and he's like, you know what? I guess Ida was right. Ida says you would never fit in, and it's a shame. So he gasses her and then ties her to that fucking conveyor belt that leads to the meat slicer.
Luckily, you've still got the character of Bruce, who has been like knocked out for a period of time, but he's coming to. And I will say, like, at least what happens here moving forward for this character, I don't want to say it redeems him, but this what is probably what the final like 8-10 minutes of this movie, maybe, it's like I feel like they saved it all for this final stretch. And like a lot of the gripes I have, a lot of the issues I have with the character development, honestly, I mean, I don't want to say I don't care, but like if you're gonna give me something as solid as what's to come here, I can kind of turn a blind eye to it. And I do think the character of Bruce, like I gotta say, like this actor works his fucking ass off with what's to come, because up to this point, like I was kind of chuckling and having a good time and rolling with this. But what is about to occur here is one of like the best finale sequences I've seen in a very, very long time. And I am so impressed by what these fuckers pull off.
Well, we gotta just acknowledge another kind of hero of the moment is Bo, because Bo has made his way to the smokehouse and he's on the roof. So when he sees that Vincent has knocked Terry out and ties her to that table, he literally like jumps through the glass roof and descends on Vincent and attacks him. And the two have a pretty prolonged little struggle until Vincent gets the best of Bo and is able to like push him into the fire of the smoke room, which is pretty brutal.
And it was also kind of disappointing with Bo because like he survived all that shit. She's still alive, already engaged to the man that killed him, or at least claimed to have buried him, because he is technically still alive. And so he's like survived all of this shit. He drops through a fucking glass ceiling and has this big fight sequence, and like she never even notices that he was technically still alive. Like she doesn't even wake up in time to realize it, you know? Like it feels like so kind of unfair to his character, but I do like you I didn't expect him to step up like that. And I think it's great that they gave Bo this moment cuz he got really fucked over. I did want him to make it. It's a really a cruel ending that he got there.
I at least wanted to see Terry see him to know that this has all been bullshit. And unfortunately, it does not happen. But Bruce, I mean, he wakes up, he gets his gun, and he literally breaks into the smokehouse because he has to shoot the lock off of it. And he sees Terry, and just as he's getting ready to untie Terry, we hear that chainsaw rev up. And I want to point out this is probably one of the most iconic images from an 80s horror film, probably any horror film of all time. And it is Vincent, the actor Rory Calhoun, with that fucking giant pig head on with that fucking chainsaw.
I mean, this visual is striking and that pig head like it's comedically large. I don't know if it's supposed to be a real pig or what. If it is, do pigs get that large? If they do, they're terrifying. I never want to meet a pig that big. But it is such a just a shocking visual, and like there's something to be said. This is a film like where we have this great final set piece where you're in the smoker filled with all these chains and carcasses and there's still something about it that has not been reading like visceral or excessively like violent to me, and I guess it's still that undercurrent of humor, but for this final moment, like this is void of humor. This finale goes all in and it kicks fucking ass. And I mean, you got two chainsaws. You got a chainsaw battle coming up here, and they're not fucking around. They're not fucking around with the scene, and I think it's because they finally decided to let up with that comedic undertone, the humorous undertone, and just let this be something really brutal and visceral. I mean, they really shine here. I wish they would have leaned into this style of cinematography and just physicality throughout the course of the whole film because it's clearer that they could have pulled it off because this whole final scene is so fucking good. I don't know if they really needed all of the humor. I don't know if they needed that for this movie. They could have made something that would have been a lot more effective if it looked like this. That would have probably had people on the edge of their seats because I mean, this fight scene is raw and it looks really violent and I buy it. Like you got this old dude fighting the sheriff, but it looks good. This choreography is fantastic and it's one of the better fight scenes I've seen out of a genre film from the era. So I guess I'm really impressed by what they pulled off here, but I think they could have gone so much harder for the rest of the film.
Oh, I agree. The choreography here is stunning. Everything about this film or everything about this moment is just ace. One of the things I gotta recognize is the sound design through the scene. I mean, the chainsaws clinking at each other and just the maniacal laughter that Farmer Vincent's doing the whole time because he is just laughing hysterically. Bruce trying to put up his best fight, and there's moments where you think Vincent's going to get the best of him. Like at one moment, he has Bruce up against the wall, and he's like literally cutting into his police jacket with the chainsaw. I mean, and then there's just more chainsaw clinkings, and I mean, it goes on for a long time. And in the meantime, the conveyor belt, the slicer, has the switch got bumped to on. So now you have Terry like literally moving towards the slicer of this meat slicer on this conveyor belt, and she finally wakes up and she's screaming her fucking head off this whole time. And I mean, it culminates. I mean, a great scene. It culminates in like Bruce taking a swipe at Vincent, but getting his chainsaw embedded into a pillar, and he just happens to like maneuver the right way because when Vincent goes to take a swipe at him with his chainsaw, he actually misses and stumbles, and his side goes to Bruce's chainsaw that's embedded into the wood. And I want to say the movie to this point has not been very gory at all. I mentioned that at the beginning of the episode. This is like the one moment of gore that we get from the film, and it's pretty graphic. We see the chainsaw just tear into Vincent's side and the meat like spray out and stuff. It's pretty graphic.
I always say that I want a movie that's going to raise the stakes, that consistently raise the stakes. And I feel like for the longest time over the course of this film, it felt like the stakes were not getting raised because everybody that encountered these fuckers immediately got dispatched and knocked unconscious and buried in the dirt. Like there's is just kind of this like repeat cycle of what was happening, and all of a sudden, like for this last 15 minutes or so, the stakes are raised, and boy, how they're raised. I love how you mentioned that the meat conveyor turns on, because the timing of that, like, you know, the the brothers are fighting. They're in the middle of this big battle. They hit the machine. It turns on, and Bruce like is unable to do anything because Vince is fucking sawing at him with that goddamn pig mask on. So there's no way he can get over there to help her. And like it really is just like finally this movie is starting to feel like a horror movie, and it really hasn't totally felt like that for a lot of the film. So I was so immensely satisfied with the sequence, and yeah, that final effect when you see that torso reveal, and there's another shot of it coming up in a moment here, even in a couple scenes where you see it again, where I mean you see just how good this effect is. You're telling me that you can pull off effects like this, and you're holding out until this final sequence? Why? Like why wouldn't you show more of that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I mean, again, it's a stellar scene. I think it definitely is very, very recognizable. I think this is the kind of the one scene that makes this film kind of stand the test of time. Like when people think of Motel Hell, I guarantee you there's two images that come to mind. The first one is Farmer Vincent in this pig head, and the second are the heads buried. I mean, so the film has it's lucky because lots of films don't have any sort of iconic images that people think of. But I guarantee you when you say Motel Hell, people think of the pig mask, the chainsaw fight, and the heads buried in the garden. Two iconic
And
images.
doesn't this give you some kind of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 vibes, in the sense of like, tell me that Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 didn't see this and say we're recreating that on a bigger scale?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the connections to other horror films that this film also does pretty seamlessly is pretty great. The homages, the little winks it does, like I mentioned earlier, like a Psycho wink, things like that. Definitely Texas Chainsaw Massacre influenced. And you can, yeah, and you can definitely tell this film influenced films that came after it. And I have no doubt that Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is one of those films. Because think about it,
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 took the route to be more of a comedy. There's a lot of comedic elements in part two, and I think that this film could definitely be responsible for that. Um, but yeah, I mean, so this chainsaw scene culminates in poor Vincent getting his side sawed into, and then Bruce is able to untie Terry and get her off that conveyor belt just in time. We hear like Vincent moaning, so Bruce takes Terry back to where Vincent's at, and that's what you're talking about. Vincent's there with that chainsaw in him. He knows he's dying, so he tells Bruce, "You can have the hotel and the secret garden." And Bruce is like, "Well, what secret garden?" He's like, "Yeah, just take care of my animals." And you get this like whole emotional moment. And I don't know how you feel about this reveal. I mean, again, it's that whole, oh, let's have a comedy punchline here. Vincent's dying. You think he's gonna disclose something very like uh I don't know, powerful, to his brother. This is his brother. He this is his brother. Like he's like, my life has been I'm the biggest hypocrite of all. And Bruce is like, why is that? And again, you think the revelation is going to be something like, who knows? Instead, the revelation is, my meat. I use preservatives, and then he dies.
I mean, I didn't need it to end on a comedic note, but I will say, like, the monologue is so like well delivered by him. Like, I mean, we haven't really even acknowledged some of the acting, and I think like Vincent is quite quite good. Anything he's doing, whether it be him giving a big monologue like this, or playing more of the villainous tendencies. I think he's definitely probably the strongest aspect of the film. And so this final monologue is really well delivered, and I feel like that comedic one liner kind of almost takes the wind out of the sails of this kind of powerful moment like you just mentioned. So I definitely didn't need it to end on a comedic note, but like it's very much in line with everything else that came before it.
Again, I think that's, yeah. I mean, you can excuse the film because it has had that tone run through the whole thing. It's like not out of nowhere, but I really wish. I don't know. I mean, the line kind of falls flat for me, but I can see where people would kind of get a kick out of it. Yeah, and then they hear a scream. So they run outside and they find a wiggling sack kind of in the middle of this trail. And they go up to it and they pull the sack they pull the sack up to reveal that it's Ida's legs protruding from the ground. So these people, the animals that escaped the garden, have literally buried Ida headfirst into the ground, and her little legs are kicking. They kick a couple times before she goes still.
I was so unsatisfied with this Troy. I was like, God damn it! Like her character, I wanted to see. You mentioned comeuppance. I wanted to see it. She's a shitty character. She's done some shitty things. Um, I was really hoping to see that mob, like, I don't know, tear her apart or something. And for this to be the final outcome, like, I get it. She's buried. It makes sense. But, like, it's got that comedic tone again. And it just, seeing her legs kick and then drop dead, like, it's not violent or gory. It's played more for laughs than anything. And I think it was a very much a wasted opportunity for her character.
Yeah, and plus it just looks like I know it's fake, but it looks fake. You know what I mean? Like definitely doesn't look like it was Ida's legs. I mean, I don't know. It just looks real hokey to me. And yeah, I mean, I'm always about like I want to see a villain get their comeuppance, and this just isn't satisfying for me. And we don't, and then we don't know what happened to the people that escaped the guard. I'm assuming they go try to get help. I don't know. I'm assuming they first place they should probably go as a hospital, but they're not around anymore. And as they're painted so far, they're like stumbling, bumbling, brainless zombies. I don't know. But I mean, the film ends with Bruce making the declaration of like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. This has been my home since I was a kid, and yeah, I left when I was 11, but I guess I got to make some sort of report or something. And Terry says, "Oh, no, you can just burn the place down. That's what I would do. It's an evil motel," she says. And with that, the O finally blows out for good to say Motel Hell. And the credits run. And I want to circle back because did you catch the moment where right after when Bruce unties Terry to save her, it seems like they're going in for a kiss, like she's willingly going in for a kiss with him until they hear Vincent. So now are we to assume that Terry is now going to be romantically attached to Bruce?
Girl's gotta get her head on straight. Like I caught that. She literally was just engaged to that senior citizen who she met 3 days ago, engaged to him, and now that guy tried to kill her. So now that guy's dead, and now she's just gonna move on to the brother without even thinking about it. I mean, this is a problem. This is a problem. Terry's definitely got to seek some help because she's definitely processing her feelings and emotions towards men in an unhealthy manner.
I mean, she's throwing herself at any man that'll give her any sort of attention. And like, yeah, like literally you're going to kiss Bruce now. I don't know. But the film ends. The film ends. There's lots of questions. What happened to Bruce and Terry? Does he actually report this to his superiors? Does he burn the hotel down? What happened to the animals that escaped the garden? I have questions, but the film is over. That was our experience with it.
Yeah, my biggest issue with that finale was the fact that all of those victims that were buried in that garden, that we didn't get any closure with them. Like they could be out there wandering through the woods to this day, and it's immensely unsatisfying because they were, like I said earlier, in my opinion, some of the most dynamic and interesting characters in the film. So I would have really liked to have seen maybe a moment of those characters. I don't know, the ambulances arriving, that classic wrap up sequence, whatever it may be, something to help ensure that those characters were okay, because what happened to them was so horrible. Like it really only feels right.
Yeah, I absolutely want them to be okay. I want them to get their vocal cords fixed so they can talk again and quit having to hiss and moan. But but I mean, Yeah, I mean, I hadn't, like I said, I hadn't seen this film for a while. I'm glad, Roger. I'm glad I got to revisit it. It is so interesting to, I think, to watch films now that I haven't seen since I was a kid. Because when you're a kid, like I mentioned earlier, you miss so many elements of a film that now when I watch it, just like as an adult and as a filmmaker myself and a storyteller, like just annoy me. And I can't, I couldn't believe how annoyed I was getting with this film, mainly because the Terry character. I want to say, I think Motel Hell could have been a great film if it wasn't for that character.
Yeah, I think there's definitely hints of greatness there, and I think that whole final sequence is in fact greatness. I truly think it's a phenomenal sequence, but I think there's a lot of missed opportunities with this film, and unfortunately, like the characters, a lot of the characters have massive flaws that are hard to redeem, and it really unfortunately falls on the two focal heroes. And when you got, when you don't have a lot of characters to root for, like, I don't know. That's a big problem. That's a problem for a film in this genre for sure. But hey, at least the villains here are dynamic, and at least the villains here are entertaining, and they keep our attention, and so that is one pro of this film. At least there's a duo here, a villainous duo that definitely keeps our attention and keeps got me through the full film, enjoying it the whole way through because they're just so fun to watch.
Yeah, iconic imagery. Like I said, this film definitely deserves the accolades it got for some of these iconic images. I mean, I guess my fix would have been, I really wish the film would have geared itself towards being a more traditional slasher film. I mean, great title. I love the title, clever play on the Motel Hello. That's brilliant. I really wish they would have went the route of kind of more of a straight, serious slasher, because we saw with the last 10 minutes they could totally have done something kick-ass. Um, Instead, we get a lot of humor embedded. We get this whole Terry subplot. We get characters that we don't learn anything about and are just there for fodder to be planted. But no, I mean, I still think that this film is an important one in the annals of slasher history, coming out in 1980 and being so bold in its choice to go the comedic route when all the rage at that point were strict slashers like Halloween, like Friday the 13th. This one comes out and decides, hey, no, we're gonna play it a little bit more kookier. So you got to give the film props for that, because I do think this was one of the first films that really set in motion the idea of a horror comedy blend.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I definitely would say I enjoyed it more than I did not, and I'm like, uh, complaints overall are definitely outweighed by my overall just entertainment factor. This is a very fun movie to watch, so I would happily sit down and watch this again. I thank you, Troy, for picking this title. I've really been aiming to watch this one for a long time, so it was due time.
Well, I'm glad we covered it, and goddamn, we came back from Houston Horror Film Festival for our first episode with the fucking bang, because it's 2.5 hours of Motel Hell
Jeez, we
goodness.
said we're like, there's no way we're getting over 2 hours, and here we are. Here we are. But hey, you know what? I mean, if listeners, if you made it through the whole episode, more power to you. We thank you for it. Thank you for sticking through it. I will say, if we're going to let you know what's coming with our next episode, I'm really excited for this because Troy, we haven't had a guest on in a hot minute.
No, so yeah, why don't you quickly tell the audience what our next episode is, who our guest is going to be before they fall asleep?
Well, our next guest is a fellow homosexual. I'm such a fan of this guy. He is a screenwriter. He's a journalist. He's a novelist. He's a playwright. He's got a new project coming out here soon, Queer Horror, a film guide that he is a co-editor on, and he writes for Fangoria, so he knows his genre very well. He knows the horror genre. This is Sean Abley, and I'm so excited to have him on because I feel like he is gonna, you and I think we know horror. I think he's gonna talk circles around this. I can't wait to discuss this movie with him because Troy, like, I can't think of a better title to discuss with this guy. We are going to finally review Cruising.
Yeah, William Friedkin's Cruising with Al Pacino, a film that I have not seen for a long time. I probably watched it when I was too young to really understand what the whole importance of the film was. But I also will tell you, being my true crime obsessed self, that I also know the real life murders that the film is based off of, the serial killer that it's actually based off of, who to this day has never been caught. Google it. Serial killer who killed gay men that he got out of bars in the 70s. That's kind of where the idea for this film came from. But also, I mean, this film was so like important to queer cinema because of its blatant like depiction of homosexuality, problematic or not now. It was bold at the time this film came out. Another bold part of this film was getting a A-list director and an A-list actor to appear in a gay film. But we will talk about the importance of that with Sean. I cannot wait.
It's gonna be a fucking blast, guys. So thank you for sitting through this. Troy and I had a lot of opinions on Motel Hell.
Let us know your thoughts on our opinions of Motel Hell. And again, guys, get on Apple, give us that 5-star rating. If we haven't earned it with this episode, I don't think we ever will. So do us that favor, all right? With that, thank you. Check out some of our Houston Horror Film Festival panels that I posted if you haven't already. And stay tuned for Cruising, something Roger does best.
Oh, the jokes are coming. Everyone, have a good night.
Good night.